Hey YouTubers, Christopher Wanamaker here doing a updated financial literacy advice video on the specific subject of credit cards. But not just credit cards, but what kind of different credit cards are there, the benefits of having it, the proper usage of credit cards, the way it's meant to be used, not the way the majority of most irresponsible Americans actually use them. We're also going to go into, how to be responsible financially, creating a basic budget, because finances, is all about being disciplined and being responsible and taking accountability for your choices and your actions with your finances. But also we'll go into a little bit of how does your finances and how you use them affect your financial future, how it can, either benefit you financially for your financial future or hurt you and harm you. It's going to be going over how it affects your credit score as well. Because using credit cards affects your credit, how those are intertwined with one another. So I'm going to be going and covering several different areas, the details of credit cards, of everything I've learned so far after the past 21 years of being an adult, and then what credit reports tell me. What have I learned from accountants, financial advisors, and banking people? We're going to go over all of that, and I have several different illustrations, examples to give, and also personal examples of what have I learned, over my past 21 years of being an adult when it comes to personal finances. So we'll just dig right into it. The very first thing is, what is a credit card and what kind of credit card should you be looking at and all that. So here is an example of what a credit card looks like. My bank is USAA. It's a veteran bank, pretty much. It was mainly specifically for United States veterans from any of the different branches of service and for their spouses. It was only exclusive to veterans and their spouses for the longest time until a couple of years ago. They went like international, and because of that, they had to open it up to everybody else who aren't veterans or and all that, so basic civilians and all that. And it's an online bank. They only have like two physical banks that I know of in all the United States, one in Colorado Springs, Colorado, and somewhere in Texas, I believe it's Austin. But I live in the Northwest, so how do I interact with my bank? Well, pretty much I, call them, I talk to them, I email them, get text messages from them. If I get a check or a money order, then I open up the app on my smartphone with my bank, and I take snapshot pictures of the front and sign the back and take snapshots of that. And I upload it to my app, and they verify the numbers on the check or the money order, and the money is deposited. So I don't even need to go to find an ATM, to deposit it. And also being an online bank, there's a little extra bonus. If I use my debit card with this bank, then I go to almost any ATM because there's no physical bank; they're all far away. Then any ATM you use to pull out cash, you usually get like a $4 or $5, maybe even up to $7.50 pull-out charge for a cash withdrawal. Well, when the ATM charges me that, they will actually reimburse me after several days for that charge. So, because it's an online bank. Different benefits and everything. I don't have to specifically find a USAA like ATM to pull out. I can pull out from anywhere. I don't have to really deposit things because I just use the USAA app and upload snapshot front and back pictures of a check and money order, and I can do transfers and everything. So everything is done online. I actually don't need a physical bank. So this is a credit card. I have a debit card with my bank. I have two different credit cards with two different APR interest rates, with two different max credit limits, and that's what I do. So there are different types of credit cards out there in the world. There's for the most banks, the majority, there are usually level 1, 2, and 3 credit cards, and there are some banks and credit unions, especially when you make really good money, your gross or net income is 6 to 7 figures. They even have level 4 credit cards. All right. So there are different levels, and what's the difference with the levels? The different levels are usually the different types of rewards. Give an example, my very first USA credit card was a level 1 platinum rewards card, and I had a 0.5% cashback rewards. Well, level 3, which is this signature level 3 credit card, which I have 2 of these, are 1.5% cashback rewards. So 3 times better the cash rewards. But it's also not just that. It's also higher credit limits, max credit limits. For beginners, it's lower credit limits. It could be $500, $1,000. I think for the platinum level 1 platinum USA credit card, I think the max on that credit limit is $2,000. But then you get up to level 3, it starts out at like $5,000 credit limit, and it will increase slowly over time. And this happened to me actually a few years ago when I got my second level 3 credit card. It started at a $5,000 credit limit, and then after using it appropriately and paying off the total balance every single month for a little over a year, I think it was about a year and a half, it went from a $5,000 credit limit up to a $6,500, and then another 12 to 15 months later after that, because of being very responsible, using credit cards properly, the proper way to use them, which I'll go into here in a second, it jumped up again for my second credit card limit. It went from $6,500 up to $7,800. Now, what did that do exactly? Well, the proper procedure, the proper way to use a credit card, and a lot of people are not taught this because financial literacy in schools it's becoming a more serious topic, and only several actual schools throughout the country require a financial literacy class, but a lot more schools, I heard Oregon is going to make it a requirement for this next coming school year, which is good. Everybody, from like junior, seniors, or whatever, going to require financial literacy classes. So that's really awesome. Need to teach the differences of different credit cards, when things change with the credit card, the credit limits. What do you need to know about credit cards? You need to know the APR interest rate. You need to know, is it active as soon as you get the card, or do they have a special where did you sign up and it's 0% APR interest on this credit card with whatever the credit limit is for 12 months, 24 months, 36 months. If you miss a payment, what happens? Well, all those months that there was 0% APR interest now get tacked on because you had a late payment, a delinquent payment on paying your what you owe them. So there's so many little hints, tips, and tricks when it comes to credit cards. So when you get a card, the very first thing you need to do is, there are no rewards points on the credit card you got, no kind of beneficial rewards like cashback rewards, or for cashback, I'll give an example. I spend on my current 2 different signature level 3 credit cards, 1.5 cashback. So for every $1,000 I spend, I get about $15 back. So that's one of the first things. But then there's other rewards out there. So like if you're a big time traveler, you travel all over the country or internationally, then I would get a USAA American Express, and then there's a lot of those bonus points for flight and luxury, and go from economy, and they can bump you up because of your points, and use VIP lounges at airports and all that kind of stuff. So that is a great thing, having different types of rewards credit cards that do different things, but they must have a reward attached to it. But that reward needs to benefit you. If it doesn't benefit you, there's no point in having that credit card. Another type of card would be one that you save up so many points, kind of like a Safeway rewards card kind of thing, or Fred Meyer's card, and they have those stores have gas stations. Then the points go towards a discount of 5 cents, 7 cents, 10 cents, 20 cents off of the next time you fill up at their gas stations. So every single type of card should not be a plain card. It should be one with rewards points. So if it does not have a rewards attached to it of some kind that benefits you, it's a bad credit card. That's one of the very first things. The next thing, you need to know what the max credit limit is. You need to know when the APR interest rate is and when does it kick in. Balances and everything. When it comes to APR interest rates, there is a thing where I learned this a few years ago. That depending on the bank, they can do the APR interest a couple of different ways. Either one way, let's say hypothetically you had $1,000 total balance that you need to pay off, but you're one of those type of people that pay off the bare minimum. Let's say the bare minimum for $1,000 balance is $100. You have $900 left over. So then if there's an APR interest rate of, let's say 10%, then the remainder 900 balance gets charged against that 10%. That's $9. Otherwise, the other way to do it, and do a slightly variation of it, let's do 12% APR. But that 12% for your APR on the credit card is 12% divided by 12 months, so 1% a month. A simple example. And so now your $900 balance is now multiplied by that 1%. So and then that's so you're bleeding money. That's what the APR interest rate is if you don't pay off the total balance every single month, then it multiplies by the APR interest. Now, whether that's the total amount of the whole lump sum, or that's that APR divided by 12 months, and that's what it'll get multiplied by. And so either way, you're bleeding out a little extra money. It's like a late fee kind of a thing. It's an extra charge because you didn't pay off your total balance because you didn't use the credit card responsibly. And that is how most creditors, most banks who issue out the credit cards, they want dumb Americans. That's because the dumb Americans who pay only the bare minimum balance, usually it's 50, 60, 70 bucks. If you're putting high balances on it, then they're charging the remainder balance that you didn't pay off against the APR interest. That's how they make their money. If I charge $1,000 on my card and I pay off the entire balance when it's due, so there's $0 to get charged against whatever the APR interest rate, 20%, 30%, whatever it is. So what's 0 multiplied by 20 or 30%? It's 0. I'm not paying any extra money. I'm not bleeding money from a wound. My bank account is solid and enclosed. It's not blown open in a corner and it's bleeding out money, So that's where the banks, they don't want you to be responsible, because if you're not responsible and the APR interest is active and you're not paying off the total balance, that's how they make their money. They're pretty much, they cut you. They cut open your bank account, cut open the bag of money, and a little bit of money is slipping out. It's bleeding out. That's what they want you to do. So the proper way to use credit cards, whatever you charge on the credit card when it's due, is you pay off the total balance. That's the proper way. Now, there's another portion to that. It's even if you have, let's say this was a level 1 $2,000 credit balance, okay? So I can max it out at $2,000. That's the most I can spend. That's the improper way to use a credit card. The proper way, and this is coming, I've gotten a variety of advice from both bankers, Bankers have told me the sweet spot is whatever your max credit limit, say $2,000, for example, is 20%. What's 20% of $2,000? $200. No, sorry, 400. So because it's 10% of 2,000 is 200, so 20% is $400. Okay, so out of $2,000 credit limit, if I want to hit the sweet spot, that will affect my credit and my credit history and credit scores. I should not be spending maximum than $400 per month. Pay off whatever I put on it each and every month when it's due. That's the proper way. But they were actually slightly incorrect. So bankers told me 20%. Credit score bureaus and accountants told me 30%. Financial advisors, like from Northwest Mutual, told me no more than 40%. So which one is accurate? And I found out from the credit bureau, one of my credit bureaus, a couple years back, mid-August 2021, I requested my 3 credit reports to review everything, make sure the information is accurate. How many accounts do I have open that they're tracking? Were all my addresses of everywhere I've lived in order? All that kind of stuff. Or is there anything that is inaccurate? And so I requested my 3, paper, mail out to me paper copies. And then with each difference of the Experian, Equifax, TransUnion credit bureaus, they each sent me my credit report history. I review it in detail, how many accounts, what account numbers, each and every month, what was my total balance on each account, did I pay it off completely, only partially, it shows all that, is everything really accurate, all my past and current mailing addresses accurate for my moving history, is my name and everything accurate. And if it's not, then if they every single credit report packet, one of the last pages is a dispute form. So I fill it all out, like what is my dispute and all that. So and then submit it in with whatever backup evidence, because anything with a government agency, you need as much detailed evidence of who are you, what are you disputing, how can you prove it, and all that kind of stuff. So with all that, and there can be a significant thing if there's inaccuracies and everything within your credit report. There was an article through the Penny Hoarder through Facebook, and they did an article one time where this one guy had a couple of issues on his credit reports, and he fought it, and it took a while, like a year or two, but once it finally went through and everything was straightened out, his credit score jumped up 234 points. So, it's not about just using credit cards properly, it's staying on top of your finances, your monthly budgeting, what are you spending it on, being responsible, being disciplined, is your credit history that the government's tracking, are your addresses, are all of your different accounts, are these accounts open, are they closed, are you paying off the total balances properly? All those details are major factors that will determine, do you have good credit history, credit reporting, are you responsible, can creditors believe in you and trust you, and all that kind of stuff. So with this Experian credit report, what it did is it gave me some really great information I started looking into. And so this was mid-August of 2021. It was telling me what my credit utilization is, how much do I usually spend between my credit cards. It was telling me that my credit history is how many accounts did I had? I had like 11 at the time. And then it says here, 100% accounts have on-time payments. So I never missed a payment. And then it was 0 accounts with late payments, 0% of accounts with late payments, 0 collection accounts, 0 bankruptcies. And at the time, with what I was doing, probably about 40-ish% of my max credit limit for each card, because I was going off of what my financial advisors with Northwest Mutual told me at the time. Revolving credit utilization was 57%. So that also means that there were times I was spending more than 40% every now and then, probably for like car maintenance, all that. but 11 different paid as agreed accounts, but 100% of accounts have been on time. So mid-August 2021, I had a Experian credit score of 747. It is now currently 818. It says, great job making payments on time. Keep up the great work. Here is the major thing. Ideal credit utilization is 30% or under. Work on paying down your revolving credit balances to lower your credit utilization. That will help increase my credit score more and more. Did you know that Experian Boost is a tool we offer that when you connect your utility and mobile bills you are already paying, that includes rent and mortgage and stuff, gas bill and all that, putting money away into retirement, they will track all that, can instantly boost your score. So, and so I took part in this. Like about a year later, I pulled out this piece of paper, and then I looked in. Did you know you may instantly raise your FICO score? So with Credit Boost, Experian Credit Boost. And so not only did I start doing the 30 percentile on credit cards, I used no more than maximum 30% of my max credit limit. So for example, out of $2,000 credit limit, the max I should be using is $600. So that is a prime example, and then $600 or under. And so that's what I started doing. And then a year later, I pull out this piece of paper and I read about the Credit Boost, and I'm like, what is that? So I log into Experian.com, I create a profile, and then I go to Credit Boost, and I link up a couple of different bank accounts that I have, USA, and I had Inns Credit Union because I had an auto loan with them in Colorado. And by doing that, they verified all my different accounts that are 90 days or more. And so my rent, my utility, all my utility bills, electric and gas and phone bill, money I'm starting to put away into a savings index fund. So nearly all my money that goes out is being tracked, and it keeps a record, and help gave me a credit boost. And that was like July of 2022. And so I did that, and within like 7 to 10 days after they verified every single account, it jumped up 44 points. I went from a 794 up to a 838. And then I started learning certain things because it started dropping after that, and I didn't understand why. I thought it was going to go up. Nope, it started going down. Credit utilization was a big factor, and also what creditors look for. The very first year, they don't mind if you have just one credit card. They want you to get used to it, to understand the process in and out, they hopefully be using it properly and all that. After the first year, if you don't start getting 2 or more forms of revolving credit, whether that's one credit card and an auto loan, or a personal loan, or a mortgage and one credit card, or 2 credit cards, or 3 credit cards, and then on top of that, maybe an auto loan, personal loan, whatever, they kind of see you as timid. They see you as scared to take on more financial responsibility. Once you get, however, 2 or more forms of revolving credit, you always need to have 2 or more forms of revolving credit. And what happened to me was July of 2022, I had an unexpected VA disability back pay check. My disability went from 10% to 40%. And so I used a good chunk of that change, like a third of it, to pay off my auto loan 31 months ahead of time out of a 72-month auto loan that I had. And so I paid it off 31 months ahead of time, got the title to my car, and by doing that, when my credit score was already 838, I thought it would be a few more months later, and then it would jump to a perfect 850 credit score. Nope. It actually dropped down to 809 from 838. Why? Because I went from 2 forms of revolving credit down to 1, and I did not know the rule of thumb. If I actually had, say, 2 credit cards and an auto loan, and then I paid off the auto loan, the 3rd form of revolving credit, off early, then within a couple of months my credit score would have gone up, not down. So that's a little hint, tip, and trick that I learned Of once you hit two or more forms, you always need to have at least a bare minimum of two forms of revolving credit, that you have to stay at two. Now, whether that's two credit cards or one credit card and like a auto loan, personal loan, some kind of loan. But if you're getting ready to pay off your loan, you need to get another form of credit. So you always have two on hand at all times. So there's that info. So yeah, choosing your bank, choosing who you're getting the credit card from. Every credit card you get should have some kind of rewards that benefits you. Know what the max credit limit is important. Knowing what the APR interest rate is important. Is it active? Knowing what, if you know your max credit limit, what is the 30 percentile, and you should be spending no more, maximum of 30% or less every single month, and then also paying off the total balance of whatever you did charge on the card. Pay off the total balance every single month. That is the proper way to use, whether you have one credit card, two credit cards, three credit cards, whatever. Let's go into that next. How many credit cards should you have? When you're not like making 6 to 7 figures, you shouldn't have more than 3 credit cards, every one of them with some kind of rewards that benefits you. And then you should also have no more than 3 business credit cards. Do not use your personal credit cards for business. You have to keep those separate. If you actually own an official business and you do like business types of taxes, you need a business, at least one business credit card, if not more. But you should not have more than 3 personal and 3 business credit cards. All right. So there's that. By also, when your credit limit increases, it can be automatic. You could just wait and be doing really, really well with, paying everything on time and all that kind of stuff. Credit score goes up, and over time, they will increase your max credit limit by itself. It'll be automatic, like it did for me. For my newer card, it went from 5,000 about, a year and a half later went to 6,500, and right around a year and a half later went up to 7,800. So, and by each time it changes, that also could adjust your APR interest. It could have been 20, drop down to 17, whatever it is. Another thing that it can do is make it where if you have a PIN on the card, using it to have a cash advance, you will be able to pull off more as your credit limit increases as well from the cash advance as well, which I have never actually pulled out a cash advance before. But if cash advance was like 500, and then next time it goes up, it could be 1,000. Next time it goes up again, it could be 1,500 that you could pull out. So by being very responsible with your credit cards, your credit history, how many forms of credit do you have, increasing your credit score because you're very responsible, it just makes it where you get access to more money, can spend more money even if you're trying to stay within the 30 percentile of credit utilization. You can pull out more money. You can have the cash rewards can go up and go from level 1, level 2, level 3, possibly even to a level 4 credit card. So it pays to know the ins and outs of your credit and how credit cards work and finances and being disciplined and responsible, because the more and more you are, the more creditors believe in you, trust you, respect you, will give you access, increase your credit limit, lower your APR interest, allow you to pull out more cash advances, higher amounts if you need to. Increasing your credit score because you've used one or more credit cards properly for a longer period. History of credit is really important, and credit utilization is important, and everything, and paying things off on time is important, and paying off the total balance, not leaving a remainder balance, so that the bank isn't getting some of that bleeding money out from the APR interest, because there's 0 APR interest because you used it properly and paid off the total balance that you charged on the card. Then you are doing really well. Creditors admire you, respect you, and give you access to even more and more and more. They're like, we could take risks on this guy, so we can offer him higher balances, higher loans, with lower APR interest rates. So the more financially responsible and mature you are, the better your financial future will be. So let's see what else. Um, so the very definition of what is a credit card. What is it exactly? I mean, other than being plastic, being a plastic card, it is all it really is an extension of your like checking account and savings account. It is an extension of what you have in your pocket. They give you a certain credit limit, let's say $2,000, for a level one, very first time credit card. Okay. Well, you to be responsible with it, you should not go charge max it out at $2,000 when you only have $500 in your checking account. So unless you have all $2,000 in your pocket of your checking or savings or both accounts, then you shouldn't be putting $2,000 charge on here because when the bill is due, you don't have all the money to pay it off. Those are the people who use credit cards irresponsibly. I'll give you a great example of something to look up. 90s sitcom called Step by Step. It was on TGI Friday when I was growing up. And season 4, episode 2, College Bound. It was a big family, family of like 6 or 7. JT, the oldest son of the father, just got his very first credit card from his local bank in the mail. And he's in the kitchen with his cousin and Cody, and then his dad. And the dad, swiped the envelope that had the credit card in it from the bank out of his older son's hand. And he's like, I don't think you're, quite responsible enough, and you will like lose your mind and use this inappropriately and hurt yourself. So I'm taking it away. And he's like, no, you can't. I'm 18 now. Like he knows everything. And you can't tell me what I can or cannot do, Dad. So he's like, okay, you know what? I think this is going to be one of those things where you have to learn the hard way yourself. So he hands it back to him. And so, but he warns them. He warns his son, then don't be financially irresponsible and how to use it properly and all that. And he didn't listen. Within a week, and the father and the mother, went on a little getaway vacay for a little honeymoon anniversary thing, and they come back like a week later, and the living room is stuffed full of online purchases that he made, not just with one credit card. He went to a mall, saw this immature, irresponsible, financially illiterate, brand new 18-year-old who was a sucker. And he, on the malls, all these different malls like Sears, Ross, Nordstrom, whatever, had him sign up for more credit cards. So within 1 week, he went from his very first credit card to like 15 credit cards. And he had the wallet with the little photo thing that folds down. And he had like a list of 15 credit cards. So, and he's like, how did you get all this? You only had one credit card with a certain amount. And there's no way you could afford this on one credit card. And like, oh no, I went to the mall and I signed up, and now I have like 15 credit cards. And he's just maxing them out. He's going online. He got himself big screen, new TV, mink coat, a satellite dish, and all this other stuff. And he's just sitting. He's almost like on this couch throne, with tons of brand new products from all these malls or online stores, advertisements on a TV. He calls up and like, I'm getting this brand new fishing pole or whatever, and he's just charge. And then he's like, and then the parents come in and he's like, and so he's looking up the total balance of what does he owe, what's the APR interest rate. One of the credit cards he owes like $20,000. But back then it was, within like 30, 60 days, you have to try out the stuff and then you can return it. And so it's like, you're going to have to return nearly everything, to get rid of this huge amount because he now owes like $30,000, $40,000. It was insane. But it's a great episode. Season 4, episode 2 of Step by Step, in order to learn how not to be so irresponsible with credit cards, and and follow example of JT. Other great online material to watch other than that I would suggest is a 9-season YouTube Canadian financial guru TV series called Till Debt Do Us Part. There were 9 seasons. right about 13 episodes per season. That is a great one. That's it's like a female version of Gordon Ramsay almost. And this the hostess Gail Box Oxley, if I'm saying that right. Uh, she reminds me a lot of she's the female version of Caleb Hammer from the YouTuber Caleb Hammer, who does financial audit. And so, but she goes to these people's homes, whether it's a single person, just a couple, might have pets, might have kids, it might be a whole family, or it's just a couple. And they go in, and she's like reviews 6 months or so of banking statements. What do they spend their money on? How are they, are they making $3,000 a month but spending $5,000 to $6,000 a month? They're being very irresponsible. How she gauges, what they're doing right and what they're doing wrong. And then, she like, this is what I see, this is what I'm sensing, this is what you're doing. And there's like revenge spending and people hiding things, and you got a mental emotional issues and traumas you need, and it's hurting the family. You're hurting your life, you're going to become bankrupt, you're going to possibly be homeless, you're going to be on welfare, you're going to your kids might be taken away from CPS because you're being financially stupid and irresponsible. And then after the first season, they started to realize, hey, finances cause relationship hardships, relationship issues. So instead of just financial challenges of teaching them how to do things properly and live within their means, and you can have fun on either $0 at a park or whatever, or other community events, or you spend very little. Instead of going out and spending $500 in a month, you can spend $20 and have a good time. Go for a walk and get a little ice cream cone and go to a little food truck or whatever, eat at a picnic table. So they started adding the third challenge is almost always relationship rescue challenges, how to communicate better, how to understand each other better, go get like a training class in massage and give each other a couples massage and reconnect, how to openly communicate depending on what their actual issues are. So Till Death Do Us Part, 9 seasons. It ran from like 2005 to 2017. So another great one. She did a couple of different, she was the financial hostess of a couple of different shows. She also did like 2 or 3 seasons of Money Morons, but I could never find that online. But then another great one was Princess, and it's spelled PRINCE $. So the last 2 letters are not S's, they're $. She did 2 seasons of that, a little over 20 episodes per season. And Princess is more of someone who wants to keep their money in their pocket and mooches off all of their friends, family members, and neighbors to be leeches, be financial moochers, to use other people's money and hospitality, but be able to pocket their own money and use it for whatever they want and not be financially responsible. They're kind of selfish and stingy. I will be showing several minute clips of a Till Death Do Us Part episode near the end, and also a female and male princess episode until she goes over all the basic rules of what they have to do and everything. So it's a little bit of an intro into those seasons, but great thing. Another great YouTube one is Caleb Hammer. He does financial audit. He's kind of like Gail Box Oxley meets Gordon Ramsay from Kitchen Nightmares, and he tells it like it is. He goes over people's banking statements. He tells them how stupid they're being, whether it be individuals or couples or whatever. He tells it like it is. He's like, you can barely pay rent, utilities, a car payment, your basic fixed and variable responsibility expenses, and yet you're going out and eating out all the time. Well, I'm always running around, so I'm getting fast food to go, and it's called get some groceries. You're going to spend less and then make a freaking sandwich and make a lunchbox with a thermos and make soup and all this other kind of stuff, because the majority of your money that you bring in needs to go to your expenses, your credit cards and your rent and your utilities. You need to live within your means, and you need to learn to budget, and you need to stop doing whatever you want, and be disciplined and responsible, and stop allowing your emotions to dictate how you live your life. You need to take control and be mature and responsible and disciplined. Financial literacy is all about maturity and discipline and accountability. So credit cards are just an extension of your bank account, and there's pretty much a rule of thumb that my parents taught me that I listen to of if you can't afford it, you don't deserve to have it. The only way you deserve to have it is if you can afford it. So, how do I've talked to different people. Even when I did 5-year rideshare driving for Lyft and Uber, I talked to some of them, and some of them are like, "Yeah, I'm 50, I'm 55, I'm 60, or whatever age," and they're like, "Yeah, I've never had a credit card." And pretty much, credit cards can be—it's a useful tool. It really can be. And I'm going to show a CNBC little clip on like why you should pretty much use credit cards for everything. And it can be very beneficial, but it's, you have to be a credit card person. You have to know the ins and outs of, having them, and how many should you have, and what are the benefits, and how do you use it properly, and how to be responsible, how to be, what is considered stupid and irresponsible with using credit cards. Because it's like no one, the people who are 40s, 50s, 60s and never touched a credit card, they're not reaping the benefits of credit cards and credit scores. And it could say like when COVID happened, knowing that I had a high credit credit reports in the 780s and stuff at the time when COVID first began, I could apply for, if I had hardship, which I came very close to, becoming homeless like a month or two away until Colorado unemployment came through. Then I could have went through my bank, and if with a high credit limit, I could have gotten a good amount of a personal loan with a low APR interest and low monthly payback as well, which could have helped me stay afloat. But people who don't have didn't use credit and didn't improve their credit over time and all that, then they still could qualify for a loan through a bank, but it would be very little amount, high APR interest, and very high monthly payments. So if they would have had past good credit history by using credit cards, then they could have qualified for more with a lower APR interest with a lower monthly payment. So that is a major reason why using credit cards and becoming a good credit card person, responsible, disciplined credit card person, can majorly help your financial future during hard times, kind of like the pandemic. So, it's people need to stop being so scared. They need to stop being like, well, no one held my hand and taught me this, so I'm just gonna steer clear of it. No, that's not a good idea. And this is why in school, a lot of people are like, where are we gonna use this material? Well, why am I learning this? I don't think it'll be very useful at all, other than basic reading, writing, arithmetic, which is mathematics, understanding the basics, or using basic like Microsoft Offices and stuff, Word and PowerPoint and Excel and all that kind of stuff for different uses. So other than learning the basics, why is it that schools consistently give us homework and or projects and all that? It's because, kind of like when we're in adulthood, we're going to be doing a different version of homework. So there was a purpose behind it, why you should have been, doing your homework, staying on top of it, giving the best you can. It's because of the research, especially for projects, big projects, written research papers, and all this other kind of stuff. Is you're going to do it in your adulthood by, you need to know that if you don't know something, but you need to know something, you need to learn something, like talking to creditors, banking people, financial advisors, tax accountants for audits, whatever. You need to have enough knowledge to speak up, have a voice, and have an idea of what kind of questions you need to ask them. You need to do your homework, your research. That's why doing it in both middle school, high school, and throughout all of K through 1 through 12, and then if you went to college, why you were doing even more research. You're learning how to fine-tune your research skills and your communication skills, and asking questions and being curious to get better, more detailed, specific information. Kind of like I did when my credit score, with the Experian Credit Boost, went from 794 to 838, And then shortly afterwards, when I paid off my one of two of my revolving forms of credit, my auto loan, and when I thought it was going to go up, it went down. Well, how do I find out why that happened? I call up the credit unions. I called up specifically Experian and started talking to a person, a living person, and I started asking, here's my account and all this other kind of stuff. Look it up so they could see what I'm seeing. But then it's like, why did this happen? I want to understand. I thought it would go up, not down. And then they're like, oh, because you went from two forms of revolving credit, one credit card, one auto loan, and then you went from two to one. Once you hit two or more forms of revolving credit, you always need a bare minimum of two. Otherwise, it will negatively affect your credit. And that's why it dropped instead of going up. If you would have gone from three forms of revolving credit down to two, then paying off the auto loan early would have increased your credit score from the 838 to probably right around perfect 850. But because you went from two to one forms of revolving credit, it dropped from 838 to 809. So it's doing your homework research. The details, attention to detail matters. It will definitely benefit you by you doing your homework research. Same thing with another simple example. I got back from my second wartime year-long deployment to Afghanistan. Got back to Oahu, Hawaii, where I was stationed. Had a full month of R&R block leave vacation time, and pretty much for the first 2 weeks I was doing nothing but major research homework, contacting different agencies for recreational stuff and all that, to go to the island of Kauai, from Oahu to the Garden Island, the northern island, Kauai, and asking about military discounts, bundling things together, are they doing any specials, all that kind of stuff. And by doing so, if I didn't do any of that homework research and just showed up on the island at these different activities and paid at the front desk, doing all the same things, I would have spent $5,500. By doing my homework research, because knowledge is power, I spent $1,500. So I saved myself $4,000 by doing my homework research beforehand for the first 2 weeks out of the whole month that I had for vacation time. Saved me $4,000 and had an absolute blast. So that is a big reason why staying on top of being the person who does their homework in school and does the deep research and gets really into it and takes it seriously. Research and the details of what you learn and what you use and implementing it is very important for your financial future, for your adult future. So let's talk about creditors. All right. So what do creditors look for? All right. Well, at first they're pretty much, looking at you as, hey, you're a newbie, you just became an adult or whatever. And so, they watch your actions over the next couple of years. They watch what you do and how do you spend your money and how responsible are you. Part of them wants the majority of Americans to not be responsible, because then if you're charging so much on the balance of the card, almost maxing it out or fully maxing it out, but then you're only paying minimum monthly, the minimum monthly amount of 50, 60, 80, 100, whatever it is, out of say $2,000, then the APR interest rate kicks in. That's how they make their money. So for a long while, they want you to be stupid. But then they're like, did you do your homework research? You talk to people? Do you, they'll learn from me or other people online, to start using it more responsibly instead of maxing out your credit limit at like 90%, 80, 90, 100%. Are you doing within the 30% or less rule? Or then each time the bill is due, are you paying off the total balance? All that is important. But then they start looking at you as if you're starting to be more and more responsible. You're learning the details. You're learning the hits, tints, and tricks, all the step-by-steps, like I've been doing. Then they increase your credit limit. They increase your credit score. They lower your APR interest rates on, whatever kind of loan you have or on your credit cards as well. So they're like, oh, we could take risks on this guy. We can give him a... he is maybe only calling us up for a personal loan of $5,000, but he has such good credit and credit history and all that. Then, even though he only needs $5,000, we could offer him $50,000 if he want, and see does he want to take more. But at a low APR interest rate and lower monthly payments. If you have bad credit and not much credit history and you're being very responsible, then they'll offer you a smaller loan, personal loan, auto loan amount, super high APR interest rate. I think most auto loans are like 8 to 12% right now. And yeah, my last auto loan, I got 2.99 APR interest rate for a 72-month auto loan through INT's Credit Union in Colorado Springs when I traded in my first Hyundai vehicle for my second Hyundai vehicle. So, and I think my first one was my first Hyundai vehicle. I got it like 8 or 9%, paying $613 a month. Well, then the second one, I got 2.99 APR interest rate for 72 months, paying $411 a month. Big difference, So because multiple years went by, I think my first car to my second car I had for about 9 or 10 years. But I also kept a 3-ring binder of all my maintenance service receipts and document protectors in a 3-ring binder for from 50,000 miles forward for my first car. And so I was also able to trade in my vehicle. Instead of a $2,000 trade-in, I turned it in for a $5,000 trade-in. So it's all these little financial hints, tips, and tricks that massively benefit you because you're listening, you're learning, you're writing it down, you're implementing, you're watching my kind of YouTube videos on my different financial literacy or even vehicle basic maintenance care services and purchasing advice as well, to buy a vehicle new or used from a car dealership and how to do it properly and not be taken advantage of. So creditors are looking for you. They're help you to start out, but then they is this another irresponsible dumb American, and that we're going to be making a lot of money from them because they're going to be very financially irresponsible, like JT was off the step-by-step episode I told you about, or does they start off stupid and then slowly over time does better and better because they're doing their homework and they're learning the hints, tips, and tricks of finances, which also do slightly change over time. So you got to constantly keep on top of it. You want a good financial future. Your financial literacy is incredibly important. I've actually had several people tell me that maybe I should take a lot of my knowledge and information, go talk to local high schools or colleges, create a PowerPoint slide or whatever, and maybe be giving classes on this kind of stuff, from just my own personal knowledge and experiences. Within having a credit card for the first year is fine, and then shortly after that first year, you should be looking at getting at least a second credit card to begin that 2 forms of revolving credit. You shouldn't have more than 3 credit cards, no more than 3 personal or 3 business, unless, of course, you make 6, 7 figures, your business is huge and all that kind of stuff. But no matter how many credit cards you have, they should have rewards points of some kind that benefit you, that actually benefit you. And then you shouldn't be using more than the maximum 30% of the credit limit. So if you have a $2,000 credit limit, no more than $600, and then pay off the total balance of what did you charge on the card. Another great thing, a little hint that I discovered not too long ago, about a year ago. If once you hit an 800 credit score, you want to keep that 800 credit score. You want it to slowly go from 800 to 805 to 810 to 815 to 820 to 830. You want your other ones to go from in the 700s probably. If one of them's in 800, the other ones are probably in the 700 range, 750, 780, whatever. And you want those to get up in the 800. Then start dropping your credit utilization on each of your credit cards from 30% to 10%. It's one of the things that credit reports say. Those who, as soon as they hit their first 800 credit score, how that keeps increasing. It gets closer and closer to 850, and how the other two will go in the high 780s up into 800s after several months to a year later, is you drop your credit utilization from the 30% to no more than 10%. It's another good reason why to have more than one credit card, go from 5,000 to 6,500 to 7,800, and in the next 3 to 6 months, I'm expecting it to jump from the 7,800 credit limit on my second credit card to in the $10,000 range. So that means even within a 10 percentile, I mean, what's 10% of 7,800? That's no more than $780. But 10,000 is $1,000. So I can spend more and still stay within the credit utilization of either 30% or below or 10% or below, Right now, between my two different credit cards, am using an average of about 4 to 5% between the two altogether every single month. And that's why my current Experian credit score is 818. My Equifax is 787, and my TransUnion is at 798. Next 3 to 6 months, it should increase. Both of my Experian, the credit monitor, it's like a calculator thing, says it could jump up 5 points to 823, and then my Equifax and TransUnion should be in the low 800s area, anywhere from 800 to 810 each. So I will accomplish one of my major life goals of being an adult, being a very financially responsible adult, to where all three of my credit scores from all three of my credit bureaus are all in the 800s. And then I hope that one day, another major goal, one of them will hit 850 perfect credit score and last for at least a couple of months as one of my life financial goals. And I think I'm going to reach it within the next year. So there is that. So went over that. The proper way to pay off a credit card is, whatever you've charged on the card, pay off the total balance. Don't put more money on a card if you don't have the money in your bank account. If you can't afford it, you do not deserve to have it. Go without. Live within your means. And then usually, when you're consistently paying off month after month using credit cards appropriately, once you've understand that process, within 6 months to 12 months, you should see changes in your credit scores, slowly but surely increasing. So it's how many credit cards, how many different forms of credit do you have, what is the max credit limit, the APR interest, do you pay off the total balances month after month after month for each and every credit card, are you spending no more than 30% or below, you're doing all these processes appropriately, the proper way to use credit cards and use credit period, and your credit scores are increasing, and they're automatically giving you credit limit increases, and you can also call up your bank and request a credit limit. Instead of it being automatic, they do it without your knowledge, and then you find out about it. You can have them pull a hard copy of your credit at some point when you see that your credit score has jumped up, and do like 1 or 2 credit inquiries, like applying for a new credit card or asking for a credit limit increase, which I could do that with my $7,800 credit card limit. I can do an increase, and then, depending on my credit score, they'll pull a hard copy. My credit score might drop about 5 points. Depends on how many inquiries within a month. If it's 2 inquiries, it's a 5-point drop. If it's 3 inquiries, it's a 15-point drop. And so, but then after 3 to 6 months, that inquiry falls up, your credit score goes back up. So another little hint and trick to you that you don't have to wait for them to do a automatic credit limit after a year and a half of using the credit card the full, responsible, proper way. You can call them up at any time once you see your credit score go up, and then they can pull a hard copy. Another great thing about Experian.com, you can lock your credit as well, so it can prevent identity fraud. But if you want to apply for other forms of credit, loans, credit cards, credit card limit increases, you have to unlock your credit accounts, your credit bureau accounts. And then once you're fully done going through your bank and getting that loan or a new credit card or whatever, the application is all done and approved, you go back into Experian.com and you lock your credit again to prevent identity theft and scams, from happening to you. Of the basics. One additional thing. For beginners, especially teenagers, or people that are not using credit cards responsibly, another suggestion would be use the Fizz card, Fizz. It is it's kind of like a credit card, but it's actually more like a debit card. And you use it as a debit card, it will not allow you to spend more money than what you have in your bank account. And this is good for teenagers or irresponsible adults to start using, but it tracks major expenditures, paying rent and utility bills with it. And it will track it, so it'll help increase and build your credit. So it's like a credit card where you use it, pay, and then all that, use it responsibly, and it helps build your credit, but is more like a debit card than a credit card, so a FIS card. Look into that, especially for teenagers, to start building their credit when they're like 15, 16, if they have some little side hustle business, lawn mowing or whatever, and they're making money. You opened up account so they get a FIS card, but they can start building their credit young. So that's another great suggestion to use for anybody who's irresponsible with credit, or they're just young and starting out. So that would be a great thing, that kind of a debit card to use before even getting a credit card, as well. So great suggestion there. Now I'm going to grab the phone. I'm going to show multiple different videos on from other people, other subject matter experts, on the different types of credit cards, the benefits of them, how you should look at them, other than there being level 1, 2, and 3, and even some 4 for higher ups that are making 6, 7 figures from businesses and stuff. Why you should be using credit cards for pretty much everything, for grocery purchases, utility bills, all that kind of stuff, car payments. And the benefits of it, the details of it, a lot of the stuff that I've said, they'll repeat and some of it and go over other things. And then I will also show the first several minutes of a single Till Debt Do Us Part episode from YouTube, and the Princess, a male version and a female version.
Bank offers you a bunch of different credit cards. Which one should you choose? You take a close look and realize each card has different perks. Some have cash back, which means you'll get back 1 to 3% of what you spend on things like gas, groceries, dining. Some have travel benefits, like free checked bags, airport lounge access, and miles. And some even have welcome bonuses, like $150 back if you spend $500 in 3 months. But there's a catch. The cards with more perks tend to have higher annual fees and interest. My advice, if you're a student, want lower fees, and are okay with fewer perks, get a student credit card and follow GoHard. The bank...
This is a CNBC video from about a year ago. It says why you should buy everything with credit cards.
Imagine ordering a coffee and slipping into a daydream. Are you also hearing Jennifer Garner ask,
"What's in your wallet?"
Well, what's in your wallet is very important. And as for all that credit card rewards talk, she might be onto something.
Most people should be able to save at least a few $100s every year just by using the right credit cards.
If you travel as much as Peyton Manning,
extra night in San Diego, morning,
or are a diehard Swiftie trying to save on those expensive concert tickets, as these commercials will tell you, there's a card for everyone. And those cards will save you money. Well, that is, if you have the funds to make the rewards worthwhile.
They could be really useful, or they could be dangerous. I think the biggest tip is to know yourself.
Love them or hate them, those plastic or metal cards that can instantly purchase anything from a coffee to a car are no stranger to consumers. More than 80% of Americans own at least one credit card. Every time you pay for something with a credit card, you're borrowing money from the card issuer to cover your purchase. While it might feel like it, it's certainly not free. You then have to pay that money back either in full at the end of the month or over time, with interest.
The average credit card charges about 20% interest these days, so it is a very profitable business.
So, first things first. If you're not in a place where you can pay that money back by the time it's due, experts don't recommend you have a credit card at all.
Paying 20% interest on a balance that you've accumulated, and then you pay interest on top of that. I mean, that's a really big hole that you're continuing to dig, and it's going to be really hard to get out of if you don't pay your credit card balance.
Credit cards require approval. Once you're approved, the bank authorizes a credit limit or the maximum amount of money you can borrow. That depends on factors such as your income, your other debts, and how much available credit you have on other cards. But here's the caveat. Whether or not you're approved depends on your credit score. Meanwhile, your credit score is determined by your credit report, the information related to your credit activity. Activity you might not have if you don't have a credit card. It's a catch-22.
How do you build your credit history? Well, the simplest thing is really to get a credit card, use your credit card, and pay it on time.
Credit scores generally range from 300 to 850, The higher the credit score, the more responsible you're deemed. Credit scores not only affect whether or not you get approved for credit cards, but also your credit limit and your interest rate on loans, mortgages, and the terms lenders may assign you. Insurance providers, landlords, and employers might also want to do a check to determine your trustworthiness.
If your goals are to buy a house, get a car, get a loan, the first thing that you need to do in order to build your credit history is to get that credit card going.
Those Jennifer Gardner commercials are for Capital One, but there are numerous companies in the US that offer a wide range of credit cards. There's the issuers, American Express, Discover, Bank of America, Citi, Wells Fargo, and then there are the networks. They facilitate transactions between the merchants and the card issuers. The four major card networks are Visa, MasterCard, American Express, and Discover. Two of the world's largest card networks, American Express and Discover, are also card issuers. There are standard credit cards, rewards cards, balance transfer, charge, student, business, secured, limited purpose, prepaid cards, and the list goes on. Different options that may or may not be right for you depending on your personal circumstances. Standard credit cards are the most traditional type. They have an annual percentage rate or APR, sign-up bonuses, annual fees, late payment fees, balance transfer fees, foreign transaction fees, and the most exciting, rewards.
There's actually a whole industry dedicated to maximizing credit card points and miles. Some people love it, and they love going down that rabbit hole and treating it like a game.
Bankrate.com senior analyst Ted Rossman earned more than $1,700 in rewards in 2022. But getting the most out of your credit cards depends on your spending habits. Which perks would save you the most money? So, how do you choose?
If your family spends a lot on groceries, get a card that gives 5 or 6% cash back on groceries. Like, that's a really nice inflation buster right there. Maybe consider a second card that's just a solid flat rate, something like 2% cash back on everything. Most people should be able to get at least $200, $300, $400 a year just by using the right cards.
Rossman says the rewards that get the most attention are often travel-related. Flights, hotels, rental cars, access to airport lounges, free or discounted TSA pre-check, priority passes, global entry, or clear to get you through those long airport lines.
I think a really good strategy for a lot of people is one of those transferable points cards, something like Chase Sapphire Reserve or Amex Platinum. Being able to transfer to different airlines and hotels opens up a lot of options. The sort of next level tip is within that, if you find partners of partners, like United's part of the Star Alliance and American is part of One World.
Then there's rewards for dining, groceries, gas, and also complimentary memberships and subscriptions. Big perks for many are extended warranty and purchase protection.
A couple years ago, I actually saved $300 on an Apple Watch repair. The credit card covered the replacement.
But according to Bankrate, Americans' favorite credit card reward is cash back.
I think especially now with high inflation, I mean, who couldn't use more cash, right?
Whereas redeeming for merchandise will likely not get you the most bang for your buck. Other rewards include sign-up bonuses, fraud protection, and having the ability to invest your money and take advantage of interest rates. Another thing to consider is how much work you're willing to do. Are you that person who's going to tape notes onto your cards to remind yourself which should be used for different types of purchases?
I know some people that have 30 or more credit cards, and they have really good credit, and they get really good perks, and they're constantly flying first class for free. Now, that's not for everybody, of course. The average American has about 4 credit cards. But even with 4 cards, sometimes there can be a game element to this.
Having multiple cards and playing that rewards game can get you some substantial sign-up bonuses. Like the Capital One Venture Rewards credit card's 75,000 miles, or Inc. Business Unlimited's $900 in cash back.
If you are playing this rewards game, which a lot of people like to do because they like that upfront bonus, you're getting a new credit card and then you close it out, you're losing that credit history. So my recommendation is not to do that. Only use a credit card if you can use it responsibly.
American credit card balances reached $986 billion in the last 3 months of 2022.
The big fork in the road is whether or not you carry a balance. If you pay your credit cards in full every month, then yeah, I think you should use your credit card for everything because rewards are great. They can really add up over time.
Even though it's simple math, a 2022 survey found that among credit card holders who carry a balance, cashback was more than 4 times as popular as a low interest rate. Meanwhile, a large share of those who owe debt, 40%, don't even know the interest rate for the primary card on which they owe money.
One of the biggest things that we see about the spending of credit cards and those that are using it incorrectly are those that are either from lower income households, those that are uneducated in this, because no one is talking to them about money.
A recent Bankrate survey found that 30% of those without a high school degree didn't redeem their rewards, compared to 16% with a 4-year degree. And the lower an American's income, the more likely they were to let those rewards sit as well. More than 30% of those with annual household incomes below $50,000 left value on the table, compared to about 20% of those with incomes between $50,000 and nearly $80,000, and just more than 10% with incomes of $100,000 or more. Sage Mint Wealth Managing Partner Ann Tran says culture plays a big part in how people spend.
I grew up in an immigrant family. I wasn't taught about personal finance. You just make as much money as you can and get yourself out and build wealth for yourself.
Tran recommends having 2 credit cards and 3 if you're a business owner. 1 for primary expenses, a second as a backup, and a third to keep business expenses separate. She says there should also be thought going into your credit card limit and your spending ratio.
Let's say you have 1 credit card and you've got a $10,000 limit on there and you spent all the way up to $9,000. That actually will lower your credit score because your credit to debt ratio is not good because you've used up most of your credit. So the rule of thumb is, I would say, try to stick around 30% in using what your credit availability is. And so that's why having a second card will give you a little bit of leeway in giving you more credit to spend.
For those with credit card debt, while experts don't recommend you open multiple credit cards and try to maximize your rewards, that doesn't mean you shouldn't work on ways to build your credit so that you can get to that place.
If you have credit card debt, no shame, a lot of people do, about half of cardholders, but you need to put your interest rate first. So maybe seek out a 0% balance transfer card, or stick to the lowest rate card you can find, or just use cash or debit until you're debt free.
There are a lot of cashback rewards cards that do not have annual fees that will give you 1% back on all your purchases, and that is probably the most simple.
Now, let's say you get to a place where you've got some plastic in hand and you're feeling good about those rewards. The work doesn't end there. She says you should continue to reevaluate your debt and credit cards at least once a month.
Tracking your finances, whether it's on an Excel spreadsheet or using an app like Mint.com, something that will track what all of your assets, all of your debt and liabilities are so that you know where everything is.
And if you're racking up those points, use them. Almost a quarter of rewards credit card holders haven't redeemed any rewards in the past year. And that's an improvement from the 31% of those who didn't in the preceding 12 months.
It doesn't get more valuable over time. In fact, a lot of times these programs change their rules in ways that the industry calls devaluations. Like basically it costs more points or miles to get the free flight or the free hotel stay. So use them sooner rather than later. And then cash back too, that can lose value to inflation.
Most people are scared of money, and you shouldn't be. If you know the facts and you understand how money works, it can be really empowering.
Have a new invention idea? Davison Inventions can help. With our own 60,000 square foot invention factory and over 35 years of experience, we can help you go from a mere product idea to a developed product. Our products have been sold in over 1,200 online and retail stores. Since 1989, our company has been helping everyday people develop and present their ideas to corporations. Our services include research, prototyping, product design, package design, development, licensing, royalty management, and many others. Protecting your idea and maintaining confidentiality is our top priority. We ask you to complete an idea security agreement, our written promise that our team will not disclose your idea to anyone without your permission. To pursue your idea today, simply complete our idea security agreement for a no-cost consultation. Davison, a better way to invent.
How to unlock hidden discounts and perks you didn't know you had.
Between home and car payments, healthcare costs, travel, and other expenses, it can certainly feel like the bills are never ending.
Yeah, with so much to keep track of, easy to forget about some of the savings that you actually have access to. Here to break down where we can all find a little extra cash, NBC's senior business correspondent, Christine Romans. Christine, good to have you.
Morning.
Always love when we do these segments because I always feel like we do find one or two areas where we're not maximizing the savings. So let's start there. What are some areas where we might be losing out on some cash?
Let's go on a treasure hunt in our own budget, shall we? Look, any recurring expense you have, any bill you have, pick up the phone, call them, ask if you're getting the best deal, the best discount, the best savings. There are discounts out there. Ask for an actual human being. Don't just stay on that awful, the
wheel.
Exactly. Yeah. Find a human and say, hey, am I getting the best deal? So call all your providers for discounts. Opt into auto pay features on everything because a lot of places will give you a small discount if you don't get paper billing, if you get paperless billing. And the other thing about auto pay is that you're not going to have the budget bomb of a late fee and then interest rates, right? So the high interest rates, this really keeps you kind of on point with all of those bills. And ask your company about employee deals. If you work for a big company, chances are there are deals on entertainment, on dining, on travel, especially if you work for a big company. So look there. This next one grabbed my attention, credit card rewards. Perhaps we're not maximizing what we're getting. This is almost like, honestly, a game to me, the credit card rewards, because there's so much in there that you can compare and get the best deal. Sometimes miles are the best way to use your credit card. Yeah. Sometimes it's points. Sometimes you can convert miles into dollars off the bill. You have to do your research, and find out what is a round trip ticket where I want to go. Okay, but wait, I could pay $2,000 off my credit card bill. That flight was only $400. You can make money there. Check the options on your cards frequently. The best deals rotate. So dining, maybe 1 month is what their best deal is, and then the next month it's travel. So it's not always going to be the same. So you have to kind of do the work. If you're going to apply for a credit card, be careful because you don't want to be opening up a lot of credit cards. But if you're applying for a card, do it around major purchases, and then you can get a lot of miles and bonuses for opening a new card. So always time a new card for when it's best for your budget. Yeah. And you can use the online shopping portals. Again, sometimes a plane ticket is the best use of your points or your miles. Sometimes it's a big ticket item that they have on the credit card's shopping portal, and that's the best use. You got to do the math. It always takes 10 minutes to figure out the math. But it's almost like a game. I know a lot of people who travel exclusively on these points and these cashback rewards. You maintain that, a lot of folks have a lot of bills, but you maintain that even if you consolidate some of those bills, that's a way you can save some cash as well. So bundling is really, really hot right now for everything. The first thing to do is start with the most expensive bill and try to bundle it. So that's home and car insurance. Oh, yeah. Check that out. Make sure you're getting the best deal, first of all. You can also drop the net. Hey, I'm looking around. As soon as you say you're looking around, maybe home and auto, that's really good. Compare prices religiously because there are big variations in prices. And home and auto insurance prices have been going up. So you really want to compare those. And you can add on free or cheaper services, right? So TV and internet, for example. Cell phone and streaming. There are a lot of things that you can bundle up together. T-Mobile, for example. If you Netflix is $16, right? T-Mobile, Netflix is free, or you can add on a Disney Plus bundle for $10. You're going to be seeing a lot more of that this year, where your phone is going to be a real important source of savings and bundling, especially for entertainment and streaming. That's good. Good deal. All right, Christine Romans. We always love when you hear you. Happy saving. Save a few bucks.
This is a great example. Episode 3 of Season 1, from Till Debt Do Us Part. This is a great example of kind of like how JT from Step by Step was being very irresponsible with his use of finances and credit, and all. His a great example of a family, a full family, and the parents being very financially irresponsible and being kind of dumb with their finances, and then how a financial guru person comes in to help save the day and the kind of suggestions that they make. So here we go.
I've never been good with my money. I've always sort of spent what I had. literally makes me sick to my stomach.
I like nice cars, I like nice clothes, and I feel that I deserve things.
I chose not to watch, or I chose not to be more involved.
My wife pushed for a budget, and I didn't like the idea of being constrained.
My family just said, you have no choice. I'm taking over all the finances.
I almost felt like I was being treated like a child.
I'm not able to sleep at night.
I think we owe about $350,000.
I mean, my choice is to sell the house and fix up our finances, and if he chooses not to, then I would move out.
Money, 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 money. I'm a family physician, and my income is based on fee-for-service, so it depends on how many patients I see, and I take home somewhere between, say, $100,000 and $120,000.
I've been married for almost 25 years, and we have 5 boys.
My wife owns a scrapbooking store, and when things are tight at the store, my wife doesn't take a draw, and we're trying to manage on my income only.
I think the main problem is we just don't know where the money goes.
I would take care of all the bills and things like that, make sure they got paid.
He would write checks that would bounce, and it's kind of like, well, didn't you know how much is in there?
Yvonne and I do argue about money. To actually say, okay, let's do the budget, I would much rather she just forgot about it.
You know, I kept on asking what I could do to help, and that wasn't going over very well. That would be met sometimes with hostility.
I know it's affected the way she feels about me.
I really need a much more orderly life, and I'm bound and determined that I will do it one way or another, either with him or without him.
This month, I'll help this couple move from red to black. I've been solving money problems for over 20 years, tackling everything from high finance to low income. I help people understand money and debt, which is still a huge mystery for most folks. And it's the #1 reason couples split up. So now I'm making house calls. Few would expect that this couple, living on a doctor's income, could be so heavily in debt. Their spending is out of control and untrackable. Serious debt problems can even be found in the nicest house on the street. Gilvaz Oxley, nice to meet you. You can tell a lot about people's finances by looking at how they live. Rob and Yvonne are living in a 4,000 square foot house full of stuff. What a beautiful room.
Oh, I'm glad you cleaned the bedroom.
Every inch is packed full of stuff. This house is speaking volumes. This is a nice room. Lots of DVDs. Nice big kitchen. Wow. To get a handle on Rob and Yvonne's financial problems, I went through 6 months' worth of their financial records. After screening their interview tapes, I know how they got into this mess. But do they? You've been an ostrich. You stuck your head in the sand.
Yeah.
And you pretty well ignored what was going on until a few months ago.
Yeah, pretty much.
Okay. You can't even find statements, right?
Oh gosh, no.
Okay. You've been a baby. Very self-indulgent. And you've positioned yourself as the most important person in this family.
I disagree with that. I feel because I work so hard that I deserve things. But I would also spend the same amount of money on my children or my wife.
The thing that perhaps concerns me as much as anything else is the fact that you're not communicating particularly well about this.
Welcome to reality.
Rob and Yvonne know they're in trouble, but they have no idea just how desperate their situation really is. I have some issues with your budget.
I bet.
You're virtually spending $2,700 a month in interest costs. This is very significant. This is just money down the drain.
I'm really worried just about the debt load itself, but as she added up the actual interest rate, it was frightening.
You have huge capital expenditures. Windows?
Oh, and the furnace.
Okay. The other thing is that you have a rather large miscellaneous cash category, which means I can't track it. I don't actually know what you're spending it on, but it's a lot of money.
We don't either.
Okay, I sifted the paper, and here's what I found. You are spending $18,000 a month more than you make.
Wow.
$18,000 a month or a year?
$18,000 a month.
More than I make?
More than you make. You're virtually spending 3 times your income based on the paperwork you sent me. Everything I've seen so far shows an incredible lack of discipline, and it's sending Rob and Yvonne deeper and deeper into debt. On average, each month, Rob and Yvonne are paying $5,000 in back taxes, $8,000 in home maintenance costs, $3,000 in interest charges, and $2,000 in cash that just can't be tracked. That's $18,000. The really bad news is that if you keep up at this rate, in 5 years you will be completely bankrupt and you will owe $1.6 million. I don't want you to get scared.
All right.
I wouldn't be here if I didn't think I could help. So I have a remedy. It's not going to be easy.
No.
Okay? But I need your commitment. I need you to promise that you will go forward with this and do the things that I'm asking you to do so we can set this boat right. Okay?
Yep.
Rob and Yvonne are going to have to learn to live on cash. And I'll assign them some challenges designed to bring some order to their finances and to their lives. If they meet my objectives, I'll give them up to $5,000. We have to stop spending the money that you can't afford to spend anymore. So what I want you to know is go get your credit cards and meet me at the top of the stairs. Coming up, Rob's doctor's lifestyle is about to change, and Yvonne gets her own reality check. If you aren't being compensated for it, it's not a job. A job comes with a paycheck. After years of mishandling their finances, you've been an ostrich.
Yeah.
You've been a baby.
She hit the nail right on the head.
Rob and Yvonne's on-check spending has landed them $320,000 in debt. You are spending $18,000 a month more than you make.
That's a frightening amount of money.
My choice is to sell the house and fix up our finances, and if he chooses not to, then I would move out.
So I'm here to help them get into the black. Money isn't rocket science, it's discipline. So now they're going to have to live by my rules. For the next month, this couple will learn to live on a strict cash budget. No more credit cards. They'll complete weekly challenges to tackle their money and relationship issues. And if they're willing to change, I'll reward them with thousands of dollars. No changes, no money. I want you to come in here.
What are you doing in here?
I am showing you that disorganization is the hallmark of this whole issue.
This is going to be on television?
So you know what? I'm going to hide these cards somewhere in this closet. And you won't be able to use them for a month. You just better hope I remember where I put them. Now go away. Rob's problem is that he's not tracking his spending. Using a debit card makes it easier to ignore where the money's going.
My check would go into my business account once a month and I would just take a draw. But if we ran out of money, I would just take more money out.
Okay, so now that I've removed your credit cards, your debit cards, everything, you have no other option but to live on cash. I've worked out a budget for you, and this is the cash you have to spend this month. Outside of things like your mortgage and your hydro and the fixed costs that you have to pay every month.
Okay.
Food, okay. There you have $1,000. For clothing, you have $200. For transportation, you have $500. And for entertainment, you have $300. And in this book, when you take money into these jars and spend it, you have to write it down. It'll just float away and you won't know where it's gone. So we have to stop that. And the way you do that is by recording everything.
Okay.
The next thing I'm going to do is going to be even harder. I'd like you to go get me your car keys.
Okay.
I don't like the sounds of that.
Go.
Go. The other situation, I'm willing to give up my house. I'm not willing to give up my car. I'm not willing to give up my Sea-Doo.
Feel like I'm the only adult some days.
Before I assign Rob and Yvonne their first challenges, I want to tackle Rob's image issues. For you, prestige is very important. And the thing about this is you have to learn an important lesson in life. Some things are not important at all, including what kind of car you drive. So for the next week, you're going to drive her car. And she's going to drive your car. But that's not where this ends. You have to go and get all your bank statements for the last year and actually figure out what you have been spending so that you can come up with a very realistic budget for yourselves. And this is just as important. He can't carry this burden by himself. You need to find a way to kick some money into this household. Okay, it's too much for one person.
My wife owns a scrapbooking store, and there's been a bit of a downturn in the industry, so until things turn around, we exist on my income only.
It's just really a matter of me making myself a priority again in my business, where I make paying me my first priority. Then I'm going to have to look at working at least 20 hours more a week in the store on top of everything that I do while I'm at home.
I think I'm also an ostrich, that I literally don't even open bank statements each month. Realistically, I need to know where the money's going, so I think as a task, it makes a lot of sense.
So big thing with that was knowing your finances, not being an ostrich, not being scared, not just, living beyond your means, having fun, being ignorant with your finances. But another thing that people have to learn as you get older is too many people, for way too long of their lives, they care about their image and their reputation of what do they show off to external forces of pretty much of impressing friends, family members, neighbors, the community. But yet, by doing that, you're hurting yourself and you're hurting your family. It's more about your character. You're focusing on having a good character within your household, knowing your finances, living within your means is way more important than just always having fun and showing everybody else who looks at you or drives by. Because you care about image and reputation way too much in your life, in your family, in your household, for your future. Image and reputation are not important at all. They're super stupid and dumb. You should be focusing on yourself, and if other people do not like what you say or do, then they don't really care about you. They're not your real friends or real family members. So I learned a lesson a few years ago that I'm going to say and do things that other people are not going to like, understand, or agree with all the time. And that's why also they say friends or even family members who are bloodly related to you or super close friends that used to be close, and eventually they fall out of your life because you're going in a certain direction with your life, and you're hopefully growing and evolving and improving and leveling up. But they're not following suit. You're leaving them in the dust, and they get angry and upset and jealous. So stop living your life around other people and live your life for yourself and your own family and take care of yourself. So the next thing we're going to go into is this a female version of princess. We'll do the same thing first, like several minutes of once she gets to all the rules of what this woman, female princess known as Courtney, has to do. So. And then we'll do one more of a male princess, and then we'll finish up.
Years, but no one stumped me more than the princess.
My retirement plan is to marry rich. I'd get a quality man in that dress for sure.
I'm here to help this princess take control of her money and her life. Over the next 6 weeks, she'll live on a strict cash diet and complete weekly challenges. When it comes to your line of credit, you're an idiot. If this princess has what it takes, I'll transform her from spender to saver. And I'll give her up to $5,000 to help her pay down her debt.
I don't appreciate being controlled. What's the point of this?
No changes, no money.
Oh, she's a princess. She's a princess.
Meet Courtney.
My name is Courtney, and I'm 29.
This princess is truly one of a kind.
She's not quote-unquote a true princess. She won't spend $3,000 on a handbag, but she will spend large amounts of money pursuing her love for the outdoors.
She's involved in every activity you could possibly think of.
Mountain biking, basketball, squash indoors, kayaking, camping, indoor rock climb, beach volleyball. I go to the gym, take yoga.
Courtney's an environmentalist who loves the great outdoors. While Courtney says she respects the environment, she doesn't extend the same respect to her friends.
You have to be generous being friends with Courtney. Definitely I'll pick up more checks than her.
You go up to the bar, she falls a little short, or her paycheck hasn't come in time.
She's got an it all comes out in the wash kind of attitude, and it doesn't always.
Over time, it ends up being pricey. I'm not one of her rich ex-boyfriends.
If She goes out on a date, she expects him to pay, and she doesn't want to go to the corner restaurant. She wants to be wined, be dined.
My retirement plan is to marry rich.
She's fixated on a cottage living rich guy.
I'd get a quality man in that dress for sure. I'll marry for love the second time and marry rich the first time.
The search to find Mr. Right is a time-consuming project, so much so that she won't spend a moment alone.
This is a girl that would go out and buy a kayak for a date. I think that this search for true love is costing her some money.
Courtney's self-absorbed attitude seems apparent to everyone except her.
Do I act annoying and spoiled? I hope not. I hope none of my friends describe me like that.
She's spoiled. She does maybe feel entitled.
She wants to be the princess of a different kind of fantasy.
According to her close friends, it's now or never.
She can't go on living life the way she is.
I don't want to lose her as a friend over anything like money.
She needs to start realistically looking at her lifestyle.
There definitely has to be a voice in the wilderness saying, girl, like, enough camping, pay your bills.
Pushed to the limit, they've decided to cut her off, and they've called me in to confront her about her financial mess. Well, you really can't afford the big life you have.
I guess not.
And you make good money.
Mm-hmm.
So how come you're always in the red?
I don't restrict myself too much when it comes to entertainment and enjoying sports and clubs and things like that.
So what magical thing happens one day that makes the debt disappear if you just keep racking it up?
I have no idea.
We saw from a few of your friends that they're pretty annoyed because you bum stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So, do you consider yourself a mooch?
I don't. I actually think that's a pretty one-sided account of things.
You actually even expect other people to pay for you when you're traveling together.
I know where this is going.
Yeah, of course you do. Let's hear from Val.
In Costa Rica, I spent more money than she did. I keep paying for stuff that you're not paying for. I'd say she's impulsive, frivolous, a mile wide, an inch deep.
Being described as a mile wide and an inch deep or whatever sounds pretty derogatory, so definitely it wasn't a high point of my day.
Can we see Craig, please?
She comes over to my house a lot for dinner and usually eats a lot.
I do eat a lot.
Courtney will benefit if she realizes the rule of reciprocity. If someone invites you over for dinner, maybe have them over for dinner to say thank you.
Holly, please.
I've really had to distance myself from her in certain respects because when we hang out, it ends up costing me far too much money. So while I'd love to be hanging out with this wonderful woman, I simply can't afford to. And I'm afraid for Courtney, if I have to keep putting this space in between us, and if other friends have to keep putting this space, she might end up in a very lonely place.
There's a theme that runs through all your friends' comments.
Poor people say you're a mooch, then I guess you're the problem, right? I'm disappointed with all of my friends and what was said in unison. I mean, those are pretty big things to say.
Now that Courtney's heard the hard truth, it's time for her to see the hard numbers. The reason Holly has joined us is because you have been mooching off of friends. And so she's here to represent that everybody's sort of drawing a line in the sand. So you have $22,000 worth of debt, $15,000 of which is student loans. On the payment system you're on, this is going to take you for freaking ever to get out. And by the time you're done, you'll have paid an additional $5,000 in interest. This is how you have been spending your money. A whopping 0% on savings.
Yeah.
You're not surprised to hear that, right? You're spending just around 16% on debt repayment, which is in line with what I say you should be spending on debt repayment, except that it's totally irrelevant in your case because you actually have more debt than is sensible, and so that actually is not going to get the debt paid off fast enough.
I was startled because I just thought she had it all. You know, she was the career woman with everything, but it's an illusion.
You're spending about 39% of your income on your needs.
That's it.
That's it. And 48% of your income, almost half your income, is going to your wants.
I'm overwhelmed by what I want. I don't know what I want. I don't know what I need. That's a lot, 48%.
And that's what makes you a princess.
Yeah.
That and the fact that is only the stuff we can track. It doesn't cover the stuff you mooch.
I don't restrict myself very much. I suppose I have some entitlement issues with my frivolous activities and whatnot.
You're earning right now $3,200 a month net, which works out to about $47,000 a year. You would have to make $70,000 a year to live that life. and get your debt paid off.
Really?
Yeah.
Should look for a new job.
You'd have to make $83,000 a year to have your life, get your debt paid off, and do the traveling you like to do. And if you were actually using credit to fill the gap, you'd actually be going into debt to the tune of $2,000 every month.
Yeah.
So are you actually prepared to cut her off?
Yeah.
You're sure?
I'm sure.
Now it's just a matter of whether you want to be sensible about your money.
I do, yes.
No bitching. No whining.
Yep.
This is about taking control of your money and your life. Do what I expect you to do, and I'll give you up to $5,000 to help you meet one of your goals. Don't do it, you don't get the money.
Loud and clear.
Over the next few weeks, you're going to learn to stand on your own 2 feet. You're going to learn to live within your means. And you're going to learn to have the things you want without tapping somebody else. And now comes the time to put your plastic where your mouth is. I want your debit cards and your credit cards because you're going on a cash diet.
There's 1, 2, 3.
Coming up, can I put a dent in Courtney's indifference? I want physical proof to satisfy me.
What if no one...
What if no one comes? You fail the challenge.
Oh, she's a princess.
So that example, what she needed to really learn is the definition of respect and reciprocity, which is pretty much the definition of respect is treat others as you want to be treated. So to me, that a deeper meaning of that is eye for an eye. Equalness and fairness across the board between men and women, especially if you're adults. So it's, you know, if I'm there for you, you're there for me. I give to you, you give back. If I'm good to you, you're good to me. If I'm positive to you, you're positive to me. If I go above and beyond for you, you go above and beyond for me. If I'm there for your birthdays and Christmases and do stuff for you, whether I make it or buy it or set up an adventure, you should do something similar to me. If you're negative to me, I'm negative to you. You hurt me, I hurt you. You lie to me, I lie to you. You betray me, I betray you. It's equalness and fairness across the freaking board, eye for an eye. So she needs to understand that, not just, you know, hey, pocket your own money, spend the money on yourself, and then go hit up friends and family members. And if they say no to you, that means to you that they don't love you. That's incorrect. They're just setting boundaries so you can stop mooching off of them. And friends and family members do this. So also wanted to add that, like I said, for the Till Debt Do Us Part, there's 9 seasons, about 13 episodes of seasons. And then for Princess, there are 2 seasons, right about, I think it's like, 25, 28 episodes per season for Princess. So, and then now we're going to do the male version of Princess.
I've been helping people with money for more than 20 years, but no one stumped me more than the princess.
When I want something, I just get it. It takes an hour and a half to get ready.
He will not go out of the house with anything on that's not designer.
He totally acts like a princess.
I'm here to help this princess take control of his money and his life. Over the next 4 weeks, he'll live on a strict cash diet and complete weekly challenges.
I am stuck. Legit stuck.
If this princess has what it takes, I'll transform him from spender to saver, and I'll give him up to $5,000 to help him pay down his debt. You might have to get rid of the car.
I can't just sell my car. I don't know what to do.
No changes, no money.
Oh, he's a princess. He's a princess.
Meet Princess Spencer.
I'm Spencer and I'm 21 years old. I work full-time for a moving company.
Spencer likes to spend his money on Spencer. His clothes, his shoes, his eating out, his car. It's all about Spencer.
My buddies and I, we love to go to the bars. Pretty much go almost every night. The more we drink, the more the price seems to go up. I'm a compulsive buyer. I like to match my shoes with my clothes.
You can afford another pair of shoes.
You stop complaining and let me get my shoes.
What are you, $6.45?
And jewelry too, I love my jewelry. Those are real diamonds in there? Wow. I don't think before I spend. The way he spends his money, it's majority on the car. I bought a $12,000 car on a credit card. The bank even said it's a smart idea because it was a lower interest rate.
He replaced a lot of parts on that car that never needed to be replaced.
From bumper, I got the new rims, exhaust, accessories, cold air intake, HID kits for the lights, changed the color on the interior,
I hate Spencer's car.
Now I have like a hobby that I want to put my money towards.
A car is more of an obsession than a hobby.
I just think you're jealous. That's all.
And while Spencer's hobby eats up the majority of his cash, the relationships with his loved ones has hit the skids.
We fight about money all the time.
You not having money all the time, it's not letting us spend quality time together. It kind of feels like it's not an equal relationship. I have to pay for this today when you just bought yourself shoes the other day.
I always have to spend money on you.
You're just too focused on yourself. Spencer is taking advantage of everyone around him, including me, his mom, especially his Nana.
Everybody says I spoil him, but I don't see it that way. I'm a grandmother. She does too much.
I don't like taking money from her one bit. It's just like I have nowhere else to turn. I am living back at home at my mother's house. The house is not for sale, so I gotta get out and find my own place.
As soon as the house sells, Spencer will be out, and with no money in the bank, this princess could find himself on the streets.
We can't just be supporting him for the rest of our lives.
I don't have the money to help him right now.
He needs some direction now, and he definitely needs some help.
That's why they called me in. I brought Spencer here to show him how his spending is ruining his relationships.
Hi, Gilbert Oxley. Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you too.
So I hear you like girls to pay for you. Well, I don't promise you any money, but I do promise you some changes. Come with me. You are a princess.
I'm a princess.
Because you like living off other people.
Well, you know, they offer, I'm going to take it, so...
Morgan pays for a lot of stuff.
Yeah, a lot of times now she's been paying for most of it.
So what we're going to do now is listen to what some of the people in your life have to say. You can hear it from their mouths.
He's a grown man. He should be on his own 2 feet, be able to support himself. It makes it harder, him not having money to spend quality time together. And I think it creates a lot of tension between us. And I feel like I've done a lot to help him, and I feel like he doesn't appreciate it. I'm still young. He's not the only guy in the world.
Uh-oh. She's the kind of partner that you would want to have. Don't blow this, Spencer. Let's listen to your mom.
I had to work hard jobs and keep food on the table, and we always made it. Spencer and I have been fighting a lot. More so now, because we're both under stress. Spencer called me a stupid I'm his mother, and I deserve respect.
Spencer?
I lost my tongue.
You're breaking her heart. She raised you to be a good man.
Sitting down and seeing all those people open up, it definitely really made me think that, you know, life doesn't revolve around just me.
You're not taking anything from anybody anymore. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to go through the numbers. Because the numbers don't lie, and I think you need to see them because there are a lot of I don't knows in your life.
Spencer needs to know the truth, and I invited the women in his life to join us.
You will not believe where your money has been going. You will not believe where Spencer's money has been going. There's your savings. Zippity-doo-dah. Your debt repayments at 10%, but you know what, Spencer? That's just interest. That's not paying down anything. You're spending 52% of your income on needs, and that's in line pretty well with what I say. Problem is, Spencer, you're not paying rent. You're not buying food. Okay, that needs category is being eaten by your car. You're spending $800 a month on your car, which represents 48% of your income. It's almost like you think your car is a house. And then there are your wants. 82% of your income on wants.
I think that's kind of ridiculous. That's such a big number, 82% on just Spencer and what he wants.
So you're spending almost 50% more money than you make.
Yeah.
Which is how we got into the debt problem. You're 21 years old and you owe $23,000.
It's terrible. It's a lot of money. Like, it's just over the top.
So not only did a dumb credit card company give you $500, but another dumb credit card gave you $5,000, and then the stupidest credit card of all gave you $15,000, all of which you managed to run to the hilt. Now you see this 1.9%, which looks like a real great deal? Miss one payment and watch it go to 19.5% like the other one you have. In which case, you will never dig out? You look like you're going to be sick.
Yes.
All right, so you've been earning about $23,000 a year gross. You would have to earn $46,000 a year to be spending what you're currently spending, and you'd have to earn $62,000 a year to spend what you're spending and get your debt paid off. If you were paying your own way right now, weren't relying on people, and you were using credit, more credit, to fill the gap, you'd be going into debt to the tune of $15,400 a year. Ouch. How do you feel when you see that Spencer's spending this kind of money on rubbish?
Well, I didn't realize he was spending it on crap. I gave it to him for basics, like food.
Does that mean you're not going to give him any more money?
That's what it means.
So you guys are going to keep your hands out of your pockets, right?
Yes.
And you're going to do anything I say.
Yes, ma'am.
Over the next few weeks, I'm going to give you a series of challenges to do. You do the challenges to my satisfaction. I'll give you up to $5,000 to help take care of this problem. You don't do the challenges, you don't get the money. You don't have the right attitude, you don't get the money. So what we're going to do over the next few weeks is we're going to teach you to stand on your own 2 feet and not rely on credit. We're going to get you real about your debt and deal with it finally. And we're going to teach you to appreciate what you have and give back, because it's not always about taking. Coming up, can Princess Spencer handle my first challenge?
You're just giving up.
I'll f***ing down on one. Oh, he's a princess.
So that was a great episode to show how even men can be selfish as well. It's the whole respect and reciprocity and everything. It's all about them instead of it being not only about them but about the rest of us. Giving back to the people that you care about. And the problem is a lot of people they show selfishness and disrespect because they want it their way or the highway. In fact, I've had older brother last couple of years been not doing so well financially, and I've helped him out. And then whether it be months or about a year or so later, we hear multiple times with the money that I loaned to him or even gave him. He tells me that it's going to be used for this. It's going to be used for the basics and his fixed and variable expenses. It's going to be for rent and utilities and food. And then he decides to use it for something else instead. He tells us, he says one thing and he does another that is very disrespectful, has no honor, no integrity, cannot be trusted. It's one of my biggest pet peeves is people who say one thing and do another. And I've had friends and family, men and women of all ages, do it to me, and it's really messed up. And after so many times, after so many strikes, I put a boundary down and say no more. I'm not helping out anymore. I'm not giving you even $5 because you say it's going to be used for this, and then you change your mind and your feelings and opinion change because you're ruled by your emotions and have no discipline, no willpower to say no. You're ruled by feelings or even fear or selfishness. So there is no real respect or trust. And then so it's like, I'm going to focus on me now, and you need to focus on you. And if you're not going to be there for me, then I'm not going to be there for you. Equalness and fairness, true respect. So there's that. Then we're going to go into, real quick, I'm going to show a little bit on Experian.com. I'm going to log in and show that I know what I'm talking about, to show like what my 3 credit scores are right now, which are very high, very close to all 3 of them being in the 800s, and what this website can do for you as well. All right, so here is the Experian.com website I've been using since July of 2022. I have been paying a $33 a month membership to be able to have access to all this. And so this is what the website can do for you. And it does a lot of great things if you really want to be more financially literate and you want to dig into your credit and lock your credit and dig into the details of your credit and monitor your credit. So as you can see, Experian.com, a lot of different labels of different tabs that do different things. We're going to go into this. First off, as of 6 January 2025, I got an updated report, which I get every 90 days for Experian. My credit score can change any day because it's, as you can see here, as a daily refresh because I pay for Experian.com. I recently found out that Equifax does the same thing, has probably an Equifax.com. I do not know about TransUnion. But so if I'm paying for Experian membership, then the Equifax and the TransUnion, every 90 days you can get an updated report, push a button, get a refresh. And I did that as of 6th January. So as of 1st January 2025, this used to be 817. It's jumped up 4 points to 821 as of, of the 1st. But then on 6th January, so 2 days ago, Equifax got an updated report, and unfortunately, it's still stuck at 787 and has been for, I think it's right around a year. And so the last, the oldest update I can find in the system is 2nd March of last year, 2024. It was still at 787. I can't pull up anything, further back than that. So I don't remember when it changed. It went up to and reached 787. But I'm hoping that here in 88 days, around this time in April, that I'll get another report and my Equifax will go up. But luckily, my TransUnion did recently go up. It went up 12 points. It was at 798 for a good long while, maybe a year or so, and then just recently got the updated report, and now I'm at 810. So for the second time in my life, as an adult, in my 30s, I have reached where 2 out of 3 of my credit scores are all in the 800s. I think the last time I did this was back around March of 2018 when I turned in my 2009 Hyundai Sonata and got my newer 2018 Hyundai Kona trade-in at a dealership in Colorado Springs. They pulled my credit and they were tracking Experian and Equifax at 803 each. And then I think my TransUnion was like in the 730s, 740s, something like that. So once again, I have reached 800, but it's really high 800s now because of the proper process I do with any kind of loans, with how using credit cards, the proper way to use them, which I have learned. When you're not in the 800s, the proper way to use credit cards is whatever your max credit limit is. How do most people use them? They either get close to maxing them out or they fully max them out. And then they only pay the minimum amount due because they're cheap. Well, that's not how you use credit cards appropriately. It's almost like, what's the proper etiquette to use a credit card? The proper etiquette, actually, but unfortunately most schools don't teach this. Some do, and I think more and more schools are getting into the whole financial literacy and requiring classes for people. I myself wouldn't mind teaching these kind of classes, both for financial literacy stuff, all the hints, tips, and tricks, fine-tuning, adulting 101 of finances, but also a little bit of emergency preparedness, because I'm big into emergency preparedness, but you can't really prepare if your finances are all screwed up, so they kind of go together. So anyway, how to use a credit card properly? Well, whatever the max credit limit is on each card, you should not be spending more than 30% of your max credit limit. And then you also need however much you put on and charged on the card, you need to pay the total freaking balance the very next time that the balance is due, not pay the minimum amount due. So you do that, and you do it consistently, month after month after month after month. Within a year, year and a half, your credit score will start to go through the roof. It'll start to increase 20 points, 30 points, 50 points, 100 points, who knows? So you're showing that you know and understand how to take accountability and be responsible with your credit. So then, but that's when you're doing that to build your credit, but none of your credit scores are in the 800. Well, once one of your credit scores reach at least 800, how do you keep increasing that 800 to 805, 810, 815, 820? And then how do you get the other ones that might be in the 600s or 700s? How do you get those eventually up into the 800s? You now, instead of using 30% of your max credit limit on your credit card and paying off the total balance every single month, you need to use no more than 10%. You've got to decrease your credit utilization on your credit cards. And then, so no more than 10% on each card of your max credit limit, pay off the total balance every single month. And the only way you should ever go, past 10% or 30%, like max it out, is if it's a emergency situation and you have no choice to pay for like hospital bills or a major repair on your vehicle or something. That is the proper way to be financially responsible with credit. If you have kids, they're teenagers, they're somehow bringing in their own money, the best thing is to put the money in a bank account and then get a FIZ card, F-I-Z-Z. It is pretty much a debit card. You do not get a line of credit. It's whatever money's in his or her checking account. And you have the FIZ card. It acts like a normal debit card, but yet they can't spend beyond what they have in their account. And then on top of, the FIZ card acts. It's more like a debit card, but it acts like a credit card in the form that it builds your credit. If you're using it to pay bills and stuff and all that, then it's helping you build your credit responsibly while you're young. Or that you have no credit at all. There's another. It's like a credit card, but it's more like a debit card, and it has limit stipulations to it of what can it do for you. But it helps to build credit and not spend beyond your means. It prevents that. So look into something like that. So as you can see, though, across the board for my different currently as of the beginning of 2025. I do not make 6 or 7 figures. I make an average of about $50,000 net income. Have done that for the past couple of years. Over this next year, I'm making several financial moves, to hopefully change that and either increase it by 1.5 to 2 times by the end of the year. But yet, even though I'm only making $50,000 net income, per year, I'm still reaching 800s. And if everything goes according to plan, then by the end of the first week of April 2025, I'll hopefully get another report here in 88 days from today. And then hopefully this will be either at exactly 800 or above that, and then all 3 of my credit reports, credit scores, will all be in the 800s. And that is, I'm 39 years old, will be 40 at the end of August of 2025, and I will have accomplished one of my goals of reaching all 3 credit scores, being so financially independent, responsible, and fine-tuning and paying attention to the details that I will, all 3 will be in the 800s. And I haven't even used my VA home loan yet because I served in the military for 13 years. So let's go down and see other areas. You can also lock, having this account allows me to lock my credit so no one can pull out like credit cards or loans or whatever. And then if I here soon, because I'm reaching these 800s, one thing I want to do is not only apply for a 3rd credit card through my bank, an American Express card, because I want to do future traveling. So the rewards points could benefit me for traveling. And then on top of that, I want to look at requesting a credit limit increase. Instead of it waiting for it to happen automatically, I want to, request that. They pull another form, another hard copy of a credit report. And so when they do that, I get approved and all that. So that helps me out. And that makes it where my current 10% credit limit that I use for each of my 2 cards, and we'll have 3 here soon, if my credit limit is increased, then I can, if I want to, spend more money, but I'm still staying within that 10% credit limit that I set for myself to, keep doing great with, them pulling my hard copy of my credit to get this credit limit increase and apply for a new credit card, it'll affect like 1 to maybe 2 to maybe all 3 of my credit scores by about 5 points for like 2 to 4 months, and then that hard inquiry will fall off in no more than 6 months, and then the credit scores of what they are right now will go right back up. So then there's boost your FICO scores, review your report, unlock Experian credit file. Stuff about applying for many different, what can I get at really awesome credit, cashback credit cards, what they offer. And then there's the score ingredients, which in one of the news videos talked about it. 35% is your payment history, and mine is exceptional. It shows here, how you've paid your bills in the past, whether you've paid on time or late or missed payments. It is a very important category of credit data for the FICO score. The most severe, recent, and frequent the late payment information, the greater the impact on a FICO score. Scroll down. Late payments of 30 plus days, 0. Collections, 0. Late payments 60 plus days, 0. Derogatory public records, 0. Account always paid as agreed, 100%. Time since most recent late payment, no delinquent accounts. If you forget to pay a bill, your FICO score could drop 100 points. So it gives me ideas, and I'll go more into that here in a minute. The one thing that it will affect, as you see right now, is my amount of debt is 30%, very good. Length of credit history, 15%, very good. Amount of new credit, 10% of score is exceptional. And then credit mix 10% of score, very good. But the amount of new credit, I would do the request for a new credit card. I apply and hopefully get approved for the American Express credit card here soon. This will drop. It will not be exceptional. It'll either be very good or just good. And then, because that card, when you get new credit cards, for it to be a part of amount of new credit to include credit, like payment history and stuff, length of credit history, some of these might get affected and drop a little bit. For how long? Probably a year. And then it'll start to go back up once your newer credit card is at least 12 or more months old. Once it's at least a year old, they all go up. So, and then there's all that. Score tracker. Going into this, so I applied, signed up for all this website in July of 2022 when a very interesting thing happened in my life. I got a little over a $25,000 VA back pay check in the mail that I was not expecting. I did not know that my 10% VA disability automatically was being increased to 40%. So I got a 6-year back pay. I owed the government a little money, so they took 2 years worth from a severance package I got from the military before I got out, and then I applied for VA disability, and they're like, oh, no, we see that as double dipping, so when you were at 10%, we're going to garnish your wages for the next 9.5 years. But when it jumped from 10% to 40%, that's way more. In 6 years of back pay, they took 2 years for the 21 grand severance package to be paid back. So I got 4 years worth. So when I did this, when I signed up, then I was at so let's see, July 16, 2022, and I get that VA disability back pay check. I was at $794 for Experian. I go in here, I add accounts to Credit Boost, which I will show that here in a minute. And what happened was it jumped all the way up to $838 after a couple of days, about a week. And why is that? Because I did Credit Boost. And what Credit Boost is that it, I'll go into it. You go to here, Experian Boost, and then there's these added bills. When you add them, you're attaching your one bank account or multiple bank accounts to Experian.com. Sometimes they get disconnected when the internet issues, and you have to reconnect it. So they monitor extra things, like it said in that news thing, that they're trying to like figure out ways, hey, we want to be able to see that you're paying your mortgage on time or your rent if you're a renter. We want to see that you're paying your car payments on time, that you're paying your utility bills. So once I added different bills, and this is an example, I was able to connect my bank accounts, and then for a week or two, they're verifying multiple different accounts. They're verifying that any account that is that I've been paying for 3 months or more, 90 days or more, and they're like, does he pay on time? Has he missed payments? All this other kind of stuff. And since I always pay my bills on time, I never miss a payment, a lot because I do mostly auto pay for nearly everything. So they verified that I have Comcast Xfinity, and I pay my monthly bill on time with auto pay. I pay my Verizon phone bill. I pay my public utilities, my gas bill. I pay my electric bill. I pay for my Peacock channels. I pay for a cell phone bill for my mom. I pay my apartment rent and water, sewer, garbage bill. I pay for a life insurance policy, even though that's, not exactly a bill, but, so all these things are consistent. Once they verify them, then your credit score increases. So that's what happened. It was at 794, and then it increased, I think it was 22 points for 1 week, and a couple more days later, it was another 22 points, 44-point increase, 838. And it stayed that way for a little while. And then I paid off, I used my new VA disability back paycheck that I wasn't expecting, and paid off my car loan 31 months ahead of time. And so I'm thinking that once I do that, that my 838 Experian credit score within a few months should go up to a perfect 850. But however, it did not. What it did is it dropped. 809, 838 to 809, and I'm like, what the hell? Why? I wanted to know why. So I called up Experian, and I talked to them, and I tried to get some information, like what did I do wrong, and all that. And so I come to find out a little financial literacy, credit, credit report, credit score thing, a hint, tip, and trick that no one taught me, that I had to learn myself. And that thing is, once you reach at some point in time in your throughout your adult journey, and you deal with credit cards or credit period, once you reach 2 forms of revolving credit, you always need to keep and have on hand at least 2 forms of revolving credit. Now, what do I mean? Like either 2 credit cards, or a credit card and say an auto loan. But if you go from 2 to 1, back down to 1 single form of revolving credit, then it won't help your credit score, it will hurt it. So if I had, at this point in time when I had 838, if I would have 3 forms of revolving credit at that time instead of just 2, and I would have gone from 3 to 2, then I still have at least 2, which means that this 838 would have gone up to a perfect 850 if I would have started out with 3 forms of revolving credit, no matter what forms those take. And so I learned that. So then, it drops down to 809 because I go from 2 to 1. And then, what I do is, once I do that, okay, so I need to, take on a new credit card because I need to get back to having 2 forms of revolving credit. They pull a hard copy, and so my credit score drops even more, 790. And then it goes a little bit back up after a little while, close to 799. But then I'm also, if something happens with my car, I got to make like a several $1,000 maintenance payment. I put it on the 2 different credit cards. One credit card is multiple years old. The other one is not even a year old. It's like a few months. And then so it drops even more down to 777. So I hurt myself, making some bad moves. But then I start building it back up. And then in June of 2023, so nearly 11 months later, I'm, getting back up there, it dips a little bit, things happen, things occur, more maintenance services on the car. And then finally, from mid-September 2023, 793, And then by September 23rd, 2023, I'm back at 801, and I've been 810, 817, going back a little bit here and there, but staying in the 800s. And as of recently, I went from the 817 to 818, and then now 821. So, important thing to know about credit, and, or how many forms of revolving credit and how many you need to keep and all that. Additional FICO Score stuff. So this is FICO Score. This is what they look at through your banks if you're applying for new credit cards or credit limit increases and all that. Depending on the type of card and everything, they will look at these things. So, and I believe these numbers on like credit scores, the maximum credit score is 850. For FICO scores, it's 900 actually. So for credit cards, I have, for a score 2, bank card score 2, an 847, bank card score 8, which I think is the more important ones, 835, score 3 is an 811. If I'm going to look at getting an auto loan right now, auto score 8 is 824. Auto score 2 is 808, and then if I'm looking at pulling out a mortgage, 820 for mortgage score 2 number. So that's good to know. I'm all in the 800s when it comes to if they need to pull my credit, I could get approved for pretty much anything. Large lump sums of money with low APR interest rates. And then there is this as well. Credit score simulator. So what this is telling me, as of just recently, I got from 817 to an 818, and then at 821 for Experian. Well, then it says in the next 8 months that if I keep doing what I'm doing, it's an estimate. It's not exact. Before, when this was 817, it was telling me it could be 823. And by the beginning of the new year, by the first of this year, and then it didn't hit 823, it hit 821. So it did like a 3-point increase instead of a 5-point increase like this suggests. So it's an estimate. It's not saying it will be 826 in the next 8 months. It could be, not a guarantee. And then you could change things to show, if we waited 3 months instead, it would still be 821. If I wait 8 months, it could be 826 if I keep on track. But then it also does some other things. This is, if you continue to pay bills on time, this is what it could be. Forget to pay a bill. I'll go from 821 to 721. It'll drop by 100 points. Don't pay any of my bills. Drop 165 points, going from an 821 to 656. Declare bankruptcy, going from 821 to 295 point decrease to a 526, which is really poor and bad. Let's see, miss a payment by 90 days, lose 145 points. Have an account go to collection, lose 110 points. And you can even put in the amount. Probably the more the amount, the more it will drop. Let's test that theory. Let's make this 1,000. Let's make it 10,000. 40,000. No. So I guess anywhere from $1,000 to $50,000. You get that goes to collections. It doesn't matter the amount. If it's below 50,000 or below, it will still only affect your credit by 110 points. And then apply for new credit. This is pretty much what I'm getting ready here to do. And so, apply for a new credit card and apply for a credit limit increase on one of my current cards. So it's pretty much saying, one inquiry is 5 points, 2 inquiries within a month is a 5-point decrease. But if I do 3, it drops by 15 points. So which means that I can do 2 inquiries, a credit limit increase on one credit card and then a request for a second credit card approval. And it should, whether it be one of my scores, 2 of my scores, or all 3 of my credit scores, will probably drop right around 5 points. And then within 2 to 6 months, the hard inquiry that they pulled of my report will drop off, and then it will go right back to all the scores that they currently are. So that's a great thing to know and to understand. And then let's see, another thing to show about this site is auto insurance. And so after putting in some information on so personal info, driving history, insurance info, vehicle info, edit my profile, add all that info, and then I have to figure out from my bank, input, what do I pay through my bank for full auto insurance coverage. And they're pretty much saying currently right now, and this fluctuates almost every day, I pay $104 a month currently for the 6-month insurance term. And compared to other parts of the country, other regions, other counties, for my region and county, I'm paying $32 below, so anywhere from $30 to $40. It fluctuates every day. Below what most people pay in my region. So for my region, the low is $91 a month, the average is $136, and the high is $202 for my region where I live in Washington State. So, but this will fluctuate and everything. And then it tells you, save on your auto insurance, average savings in your area of $483 if I wanted to get quotes from Geico or State Farm or something like that instead of going through just my bank. So, you could save $1,137 a year by switching multiple policies kind of thing. So if I was interested in that, I could look at what they offer. So it does that as well. So then, credit card information, at my credit scores, what can I apply for them? The Platinum card from American Express, a 99% match. I'm a 93% match for Delta Sky Miles Reserve American Express card. If I didn't want to go through my actual bank to get cards, I can go through this site. Same thing with loans, protection. What's protection? So protection plan for paying for my membership. Experian credit files locked, and it's telling me that, hey, my information is being found on the dark web. I'm getting a little reports. It's a low risk. This one's a medium risk. All that. And then I'm looking at maybe paying for delete me here soon, so they'll comb through my find my data on tons of other businesses' websites and stuff, because they're acquiring my data, and then they delete me. People will go through and delete my information, and so this won't pop up as much as finding my information on the dark web or getting scam calls or telemarketers who get my phone number and all that. So paying attention to the details of your finances can definitely pay off in the long run and do you a lot of good, and preventing scams because you have your credit locked. Now, when I am getting ready to apply for the new credit card and the credit limit increase on one of my credit cards, I have to unlock my credit. Otherwise, my bank will not be able to pull a hard copy report, and they'll have to pull 2. So I'll be like, hey, let me know when you're ready. I have to unlock my credit, give it 1 minute, and then go ahead and pull, the hard inquiry. And then when they're like, I'm done, I got it, I'll lock it again. And then I'll unlock it again for when they pull it the second time, and then lock it again right afterwards. So there's, only, there'll be only a couple minute window for someone to possibly try to get into my account and, use my credit to pull out loans and get credit cards in my name and try to steal my identity. The rest of the time it's locked. So that is pretty much all I have to show from this website and what it all entails. And how you can use it to it's a tool. It's a credit monitoring and control and fine-tuning and researching tool to learn more about your learn and control about your credit. So that's what like Experian.com, and now I guess Equifax recently have created their own Equifax.com, and if I paid a membership from them, they would have very similar to what Experian has, but then I would get more current updated reports on Equifax credit score as well. You know, and then I don't know if TransUnion has their own site up, but if they don't, they probably will here soon. So that's all I have. I hope this information was very helpful and very useful to you, and it proves that I know what I'm talking about when it comes to dealing with credit, because 2 out of my 3 credit scores are all above 800, and my third one by spring of 2025 should be reaching 800 as well. So then I make $50,000 a year. I make, not 6 and 7 figures, and yet I'm still able to reach the 800 and above, credit scores amongst all 3 of my credit bureaus. But it takes time, energy, and effort too, and discipline and willpower to use credit appropriately. And then in the future, my next goal, after hitting all 3 credit reports in the 800s, will be at least 1 or more of my credit scores eventually reaching a perfect 850 credit score, and hopefully holding on to one of them being that, and holding on to it for at least a couple of months, like 90 to 100 days is one of my other goals, and I think I will accomplish it at some point. I might be mid-40s by then, but I'll make it happen. So, and what else does this do? Having higher credit limit, what does that really do for you? That makes it where I can request personal loans, auto loans, mortgages, higher dollar amounts, even if it's more money than I actually need from my bank. But I get to pay it back, whatever loans I pull out, pay it. Not only will I definitely get approved because it's evidence proof that I'm very reliable and disciplined with credit. But then, so if I need 50,000, they might offer me freaking $500,000. It's like, I don't need that much. I was only looking for 50,000. Well, you definitely got the credit. You are approved. So we're not going to deny you what you need. But then, here's going to be the monthly payments. How many months do you want to do it? 12, 24, 36, 48, 60, 72, 84. How many year loan, what your monthly payments will be. And the biggest thing is not only the high credit score makes it where I get offered a ton of money, maybe more money than I need, but the payment plan is at lower monthly payments and with a very low APR interest. Like when I turned in my first car to a Hyundai dealership in Colorado Springs and got my second car for a trade-in value, and they pulled my credit, and they Experian and Equifax were at 803 each, I was able to negotiate and got it went from I think it was about 6%, 5 or 6% APR interest on a 72-month auto loan, and with $411 a month payments, put $1,500 down on the car, and I was able to negotiate and talk them down because of my 803 credit scores for 2 of 3, and I got 2.99 APR interest. One of the salespeople is like, I've been doing this stuff for 45 years. You're the first customer I've ever seen negotiate that well, that skillfully, and in all my years of working for a car dealership. And you're the first person who's ever got whatever kind of auto loan agreement below 4%. He was blown away. Your crap. You should teach a class on this, to other people. And I've thought about it. I've had multiple people you are really knowledgeable in this stuff when it comes to the personalized finances, not like taxes and stock market stuff or crypto. Maybe you should create PowerPoint slideshows in this stuff and go to high schools and teach juniors and seniors, and maybe even colleges for other adults who just weren't taught this. So that's all I have. I hope this info was good, and I hope it helps you out. All right. All right, so one of the last things I'm going to go over before finishing this out is a great mention of something. They slightly hit on it in one of the videos of credit history is very important. So a lot of people, and I've made this mistake before when I was younger, but I don't make it anymore, is the fact that if you want to close out a credit card, like you want to apply for a new one, and all that. You don't want to use one of your old ones. There's things constantly keep changing. They have new plans, new rates, all this kind of stuff. So I apply for a newer one, higher rate, all that kind of stuff. I want to stop using a specific credit card. A lot of people make the mistake of closing out the credit card account. And by doing that, and now if you didn't use it responsibly, then yeah, close it out. If you used it very responsibly and used it for quite a long while, multiple years, then make sure the total balance is fully 100% paid off, but do not actually call up your bank and close the account. Just cut up the card, because by closing the actual that specific card account, what you're doing is closing out the entire account, which closes out the overall history of you using that account, and history is a part of your credit scores. So if I took one of these credit cards and for whatever reason I would call them up and close it out and then cut it up, then say this is like one of my older cards I've had for years, then that entire history, a part of your credits, gets lost. It gets deleted pretty much, and then it will massively tank your credit scores. So what you want to do is make sure the total balance is paid off. Do not close out the account, just cut up the card and then throw it away, and so you can never use it again. But the history of the account stays there and doesn't get deleted. So that is another really important thing to do, so it doesn't hurt your credit in a negative way. Okay, so that is all I have about credit cards mixed in with the little credit scores, because those kind of intertwine with one another. How to use credit cards properly, how many should you have that are personal and business, the different types of credit cards, how you shouldn't use more than 30%. That's the sweet spot. It says it on the credit bureaus. It said it on news reports. It says it a lot of different places. So do not, hopefully this knowledge has really helped to understand credit cards, credit scores, finances, APR, interest rates, budgeting, and all this other kind of stuff. Especially if you're a lot younger and you have more time to get your finances in order to do better with your financial future. If you get on the ball and you get motivated and get focused to be more financially responsible right now, your financial future is looking incredible, especially when really hard, unexpected things happen. Natural disaster, it's kind of like, it's like emergency preparedness. Emergency preparedness for natural disasters and stuff, forest fires, earthquakes, whatever, car crash or whatever, pandemic, and financial literacy, those kind of, go together. They connect together. If you're really doing really well financially and you got built up your credit and got, great credit scores and high interest, a low interest, but high credit limit, credit cards or loans or a personal loan, auto loan, whatever. You got a car, you paid it off, you have the title, you can request an auto loan through your bank and you turn in the title and they'll tell you, until you pay off this loan, we're not going to give you the title back. I've done that. To use that money to live and survive, but you still have your car. They're not taking your car. So it's, by setting yourself up better for a better financial future during really hard times of some form, especially unexpected hard times, on top of hopefully having an emergency saving, at least 3 to 6 months worth that cover all your monthly expenses and everything, and have a high credit score and good credit history. It could help save your bacon in a multitude of ways. The more you prepare, the better off you will be. The less worried, the less scared, the less stressed out, the less exhausted the less concerned and fearful you will be. You'll have a good head on your shoulders, and you won't be so worried and scared, and and then just break down and crying and losing it and getting depressed and everything. So financial literacy and discipline are very important when it comes to finances. Understanding the ins and outs, understanding how to do homework research, to call up the subject matter experts, whether it be banking people, financial advisors, tax auditor people, loan people, for about personal loans, auto loans, mortgages. They pause payments for like a 1 month or a couple months if you're hitting a really hard time, like when COVID-19 happened and stuff like that. I've done all that kind of stuff. So, and renegotiate and try to lower interest rates, try to bundle things together, like that news report said. If you bundle like your house and your vehicle together, you can get a major, multiple hundreds of dollar discounts or something, all that kind of stuff. So there's all these financial hints, tips, and tricks that you can use. And it's usually when it comes to the credit scores, and the credit scores, it's like, it's very specific ones they look at. It depends on what the business is, what it's for. Are they looking at one credit score, like just Experian, just Equifax, just TransUnion? They might be looking at 2 of the 3. They might be looking at all 3. They want to look over your entire, payment history, and are you reliable? Have you paid off debts in the past? Possibly even early, paid on time? What are your credit scores? So depending on what kind of loan, and lower loans, like pulling a credit card, your bank will probably look at Experian or Equifax specifically. But then if it's an auto loan, then it might be 1, 2, or 3. I believe my bank would look mainly at Experian. They might take a look at Equifax as well, possibly. You pull a mortgage though, mortgages are usually very high. There's usually large sums of money, 20,000 or more. It's probably $50,000 or more for mortgages, depends on what kind of house are you getting. So $50,000, $100,000, $250,000, $500,000 mortgage, they're going to be looking at all 3 and all the details and all your history and all that. Have you paid off things early? Like I paid off my first 60-month auto loan car, my very first Hyundai car. For a 60-month auto loan, I paid it off in 48, so 12 months ahead of time. My second car, not only did I trade in the first car for the second car, got a 72-month auto financing loan, and I paid it off in 49 months, paid it off 31 months ahead of time. And so there's that history, and that's good history. I have pulled out like a personal loan and an auto loan to pay off another major debt for a timeshare that I signed up for, paid it off 9.5 years early. But then the auto loan and personal loan that I pulled out was better monthly payments and lower interest rates instead of and for 5 years each instead of 10 years for the timeshare financing that I did to get a timeshare at the time, which was stupid. But I paid off the total contract debt about 9.5 years early, and really saved like $10,000-$15,000 in interest, because the timeshare contract that I did was 10-year contract for like 12-14%, when the auto and personal loan combined together paid off the timeshare contract, and it was at like 5 or 6%. So, and for 5-year loans instead of 10 years. And then I think I paid both of those off in 4 years each, so like a year ahead of time, by making extra money off to the side, like plasma donation or whatever, to pay off debts faster and make more principal payments. That's also another little hint I learned about mortgages. Say you pull out, 30-year mortgage. If you actually pay off one additional full principal, full month payment, so you do 13 months worth of a mortgage payment in 12 months, you make one extra, and you do that extra every single year, you'll pay off your 30-year mortgage in 17 years and save yourself tons of interest money as well. So that is pretty much all I have. I know this was a lot of information, a lot of details, a lot of variety, a lot of illustrations. I hope it helped you out to better understand different types of credit cards. If you get a normal plain credit card, it's bad. It has to come with some kind of rewards that benefit you in some way, shape, or form. Don't use more than 30% of the max credit limit or less. That's credit utilization. Once you go from 1 to 2, you always need at least 2 forms of revolving credit. You should be paying off the total balance of what you put on the card every single month. That is the proper procedure, the proper way to use credit cards. The only way you should be maxing out your credit limit on any credit card is if it is an emergency situation. Got to pay a major medical expense. You got to, repair or damage a window on your car, or axle fell off, or, or whatever. It's an emergency situation. It's the only time you should max out a credit card, but pay it off as soon as humanly possible too. So that is all I have. I hope you enjoyed this. If you did, hit like, hit subscribe, make any comments, hopefully positive. And I hope that this really helps all of you to better understand credit cards and credit scores and finances and financial literacy. And get a jump start on how to be more responsible and more disciplined with your finances. And check out some of those YouTube shows like Caleb Hammer, the Till Debt Do Us Parts episodes from the 9 different seasons, the 2 seasons of Princess. Use those as representation examples of what not to do, of learning how other people screwed things up, or even how they, Gail Box Oxley with relationship rescue challenges, usually the 3rd challenge, of how did the relationship get better, they better communicated, work things out. You can use those as ideas to improve your own relationship with your partner as well, and how to improve your own finances. So how to start your kids off maybe with cash, or a Fizz card if they're making their own money from like a lawn mowing business or newspaper business, or whatever kind of gig job they might have as they're in becoming teenagers, or they got a job with parent approval at like a grocery store or something, and teach them how to budget properly. Oh, you just made $500 in a month? Yeah, you don't get to spend all that. That's what my parents did, taught my older brother. My older brother taught me when I took over his lawn mowing job in a small town called Toledo, Washington. He's like, oh, good, you made $500. No, you don't get to keep all that. You don't get to spend it. He kind of taught me about taxes. 1/3 in my pocket, 1/3 in savings, 1/3 to him to pay off the depreciated value of the lawnmower, weed eater, and rake, and all that kind of stuff until it's fully paid off. 1/3 in a separate account that was going to be used for maintenance repairs, like replacement of wheels, blades, whatever the lawnmower, weed eaters needed, and then 1/3 for consumable items like gas, oil, weed eater, line, things that constantly need to be replaced. And then once I paid him off of the depreciation value of the lawnmower, weed eater, then then it's a quarter in my pocket, a quarter in savings, a quarter towards maintenance services, and a quarter for the expendable, replenishable items like gas, oil, and weed eater line. So I started learning more about taxes when I was younger. Don't let them just go make $500 and blow it all out the window. Then like, oh, I have no money, I can't make this repair on my lawnmower and weed eater. I can't get gas and fuel. Mom, Dad, someone come help me pay my way out in life. Let me be a princess moocher. Start teaching them about money management, monthly budgeting. I have a video on monthly budgeting as well. I'll have a more detailed one on specifically credit scores and the major details of those coming up next. And how to be more disciplined with money, and understanding taxes, and how no matter how much you make, whether the government gets their piece through taxes, or you're teaching them even before they become an adult, it's about monthly budgeting and being responsible, being disciplined, and living within your means, within your budget, not beyond your means of budget, like a lot of people Until Debt Do Us Part and Princess did. So check out those shows. I hope you, I'm really passionate about them, and also Caleb Hammer as well. And, I'm just very, very passionate about finances. I came up with while I'm doing rideshare driver and for 5 years and doing college at the same time, I came up with a motto mantra that really stuck with me. How can I better my life? How can I better my finances? How can I better my credit score? How can I better my home? How can I better my furniture? How can I pay off debts faster? How can I do better with my finances? By learning the ins and outs details of loans and interest rates and credit cards and the Fizz card and credit scores and revolving credit utilization, doing my homework research, constantly asking those questions, wanting to learn and improve myself. how can I better this? How can I better that in a multitude of different areas of my life? My furniture, my home, my kitchen, my appliances, my preparedness stuff for emergency preparedness, my bug out bag stuff, replace old items with new items, higher quality, more durable, multifunctional Swiss Army knife kind of, survival emergency preparedness gear and stuff for hiking and camping usage. How could I improve my car inside and out? How can I put more money way off to the side for savings? How can I pay off debts faster? How can I make extra money off to the side from a full-time job like rideshare driving, Lyft, Uber, and plasma donations and things like that? Red Cross, female Red Cross donations, stuff like that. There's all these hints, tips, and tricks in finances. And the more you get passionate and get motivated and get focused and get disciplined, and like keep all your gas receipts and food receipts so you can see what you're spending in a month and how can you fine tune that. Cut a little here, cut a little there. Oh, your credit scores went up. Contact your different utility bills, your phone bill. Like go from Verizon, that's getting expensive, close to $100 a month for a basic plan, to maybe Helium, $20 a month. Caleb Hammer talks about that. They use the same towers as T-Mobile and stuff. Or Ryan Reynolds' Mint plan, that's like $15 a month. So switch plans, and how can you cut from here and cut from there? No more paying for cable or satellite. Maybe it's streaming and stuff, and all that kind of stuff. So there's all these hints, tips, and tricks of how to constantly keep fine-tuning your finances. So I hope you enjoyed this. I hope it was very beneficial. Hit like and subscribe, and take care of yourself. Stop showing off and living beyond your means because you care about your image and reputation. Care more about your character and how your own family and your own household looks at you, believes in you, trusts you, respects you, because you got your house in order and your finances are, very straight and in order. That's all I have. Have a good day, and take care of yourself, and have good holidays. Bye.